Correct. So why bring her up? She's not currently in the West Bank. She's not currently engaged in raids. She doesn't currently support the IDF. She doesn't currently support the IDF. No, you don't know that. He doesn't know that. He is assuming.
He doesn't know that. He is assuming. But I'm telling you that working for the Israeli government, helping the Israeli government work, is probably to most people a bigger connection than just being like,
I'm coming to kill you!
Russia and Ukraine can't go to fucking war. America deserved 9/11.
Hello.
What? What's up, Relly? How's it going? Hello.
Going well, young one. You wish to speak over the Ethan Klein situation?
Yeah. What's your take? I think I just saw a tweet from you. It popped up on my phone, so I was like, oh, I'll message Relly because decent chance we have a different take on it.
Yeah. So my take is that I don't believe his intent was to call for Ela Klein to be considered a valid military target, but I believe the consequence of his statements are that people in his audience would view her as one-to-one morally with these valid military targets, effectively making it.
But only in one location, correct?
What?
Only in one of two locations, correct?
What do you mean in one of two locations?
The Gaza Strip or the West Bank. That is the context under which this entire conversation takes place.
His statements, yes, but I'm saying that the consequence of his speech puts Ela Klein in a similar moral place as these various people who are conducting the actions in Gaza and the West Bank.
Sorry, I don't mean
by bringing her up as a direct comparison and a statement about how it's justified to all of these people are justified military targets.
Sure.
Why do you frankly think there is no connection? Really, there's no connection between her at all?
Perfect connection there. He's making, so I think there's a perfect connection there. So I would say he's trying to make the point that no matter how legitimate the Israeli military looks, no matter how like terroristic the fucking Palestinian militias look, it doesn't matter if Israel kind of looks like you and they look like a justified military because they got uniforms and they operate like with more more transparently. Doesn't matter. They're the illegally occupying force. They are doing like an apartheid state. They are the people who are ethnically cleansing like that same ethnic group from the region. No matter what, that group is invalid in this situation. And anybody participating in that group, any member of that group is a valid military target if they are in the West Bank in illegally occupied territory. Right? So he's saying no matter how good they look.
Why is Ela Klein a valid person to bring up in that context?
So she is the most innocent person who would be participating in this, right? She was like a secretary. She just went one time. She's the most innocent version versus then he talks about it doesn't matter if they are terrorists, doesn't matter if they're wearing like a hijab, doesn't matter what the fuck they're doing, right? Doesn't matter how scary they look. They are still the morally correct actors here. So he's taking the most kind, the
no,
bunny
he's talking about
the IDF,
no, he's not talking about the morally correct actors. He's referring to, yes, what they're doing is legal, but he's also stating that these other groups are valid military targets. He's saying that it is the moral thing to do is to get rid of these valid militaries. I believe he even said the word moral. Maybe earlier.
It's totally morally justified to attack, to use violence against the occupying force. Yes.
Yes.
In those places.
And all of these people, and then he brings up Ela Klein in this context. And I agree, it's not to explicitly say that she is also a valid military target, but it is to bring her up in a context to put her in a similar light as these other valid military targets by bringing up her past service by sitting inside of a car.
A car that was probably, that she wasn't supposed to be sitting in, that was going into Ramallah at night, had like gunshots fired at it, right? From the unit that does all of the night raids into Ramallah.
Or? Yeah, sitting inside of a car, doing literally nothing. Do you think that that makes her a valid military target?
No, I don't think it makes her a valid military target. If somebody fired an RPG at that car, would you think that was valid?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, probably. Okay, well, actually, to be clear, I don't know what exactly that raid was. I don't know what exactly that raid was, but assuming that it was a raid that we would typically see inside of the West Bank, I would say yeah.
Yeah, so he's saying any member of the IDF who's engaging in operations in the West Bank, in going to Ramallah, right? Even going, and he specifically says, your favorite podcaster's wife, because she went on those raids, right?
Yeah, so, but she's not currently, nor does she currently support those raids, as per my understanding.
But, yeah, she wouldn't even be, but she's also not currently in the West Bank or the Gaza Strip. which is where
Correct.
this
So
whole
why bring her
conversation is taking
up?
place.
She's not currently in the West Bank. She's not currently
Because
engaged in rage. She doesn't currently support the
He's
IDF.
saying-
She doesn't
he's saying
currently
no matter
support
how
the
little-
IDF's
Sure.
West Bank
He's saying
operations.
no matter how little you participate, if you are a member of that military, I think you're a valid target, which I disagree with.
Yes, but
he's
she's
saying,
not in the military. She doesn't support the military. She doesn't support
which is
what the
why he's not
military is
saying,
doing.
which
in
is
the
why
West
he's not
Bank.
advocating for violence against her. He's saying that is
No.
that is the most
that's
innocent
not my
example I
question.
can think of.
Why is he bringing her up? She doesn't support
As
the
the most
military.
innocent
She doesn't
example.
support what they're doing in the
As
West
the
Bank.
most
She
innocent
doesn't
example of
support
somebody
any
who
that.
would have been a valid target. Like even this person would have been a valid target.
Well, no, we already agree. Well, are you arguing that he believes that she would have been a valid military target?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
he's saying that
all right.
explicitly.
Then yeah, I mean, I would appeal to that being retarded. But even beyond the idea of her that being retarded, I would say that bringing her up and subsequently the response that we see from his chat clearly illustrates that he is putting them on a similar moral footing. Because what happened immediately after he said this? His chat had multiple different messages calling her Hitler, fucking terrorist wife.
I'm
and
never
stuff
ever
like this.
going
It
to. So
only
I'm never
seeks
going to
to
engage in the chat shit. The chat shit's totally retarded.
Wait, no.
Anybody who
That
engages
is-
in the
that-
chat shit
to be
is
clear,
a
that is
total
my
moron, in
point.
my opinion.
My point is how his audience, the whole point of being a content creator in general, how his audience takes his messaging. I already agree with you. His intent wasn't to say, "Hey,
do you think?
Ela Klein
Wait, do
is
you
a
think
valid
his audience
military
hates
target."
Ela because of her connection
Yes.
to Ethan Klein, or because of Hassan? Do you think they're
Both.
do you think they're mirroring Hassan's opinion on
Both.
Ela Klein?
Yeah.
They're not. They're obviously not. When has
Wait,
Hassan said
what?
Hitler? When has Hassan said Hitler? Hitler.
Wait,
When has Hassan said
are
those
you
things?
serious? Wait, are you saying that Hassan's representation of Ela Klein is not that she's like a terrorist sympathizer?
I think she's an
You're
IDF
saying that
sympathizer.
that Hassan's interpretation of Ela Klein
Sorry,
is that
she was in the IDF.
She is not a pro-genocide, pro-Gaza baby killer. That is the representation from Hassan about Ela Klein, is that both Ela and Ethan are like pro-baby killing genocidal maniacs. That is
Yes.
the interpretation. Yes.
Yes.
So
that they're
that's all you need to
pro-Zionist,
get.
and he thinks
Hitler,
anybody who's
terrorist
a Zionist
wife,
like
that's
that,
all you
yes,
need.
would be like that. But no, those are not equal, right? He doesn't do
Wait,
those statements, right?
How is it not? Can you actually answer? How
Sure.
is Ela Klein not a terrorist by Hassan's own arguments?
You can call her a terrorist by his own arguments.
Right. So when you say these comments inside the chat,
Wait,
Hitler,
hold
Ela,
on. Do you-
terrorist wife, are not because of
Hold on,
they're
hold on.
mimicking Hassan's opinions. Those are mimicking Hassan's opinions. Hassan
Do you-
believes, and he explicitly
Hold
makes
on.
arguments
I
for
need to
Ela
go in a
Klein
different
being a
direction
terrorist and
Do you think
like
Ela Klein?
being a
Do
Nazi.
you think you
Like,
can't?
morally equivalent.
Do you think you can't call Ela Klein a
Absolutely.
terrorist?
Do you believe that you can?
I believe there's like a solid argument that you can. Do you believe the
No,
IDF
I don't
engages in
believe that at all.
operations
I
that
don't-
are
I
bordering
would
on
contend
terrorism?
that argument any day that she's not a terrorist.
Would you call the IDF? Would you call the fact that, like, let's say, they're actively engaging in an ethnic cleansing campaign? Would you not call that like state terrorism? Would you not call that like terroristic? Are they not like literally clearing these people out to cause terror and make them flee from Gaza?
Yeah, sure. When was she in the IDF? And what was she doing? And was it required?
She was literally the assistant to the commander who did all of the night raids into Ramallah.
Okay. And
Do you think?
when
do you
was
think,
she
do you
in
not
there?
think the Israeli
And-
government has engaged in like crazy shit in Ramallah, in the capital of the West Bank?
No, I agree that they've engaged in crazy shit. I'm saying that when you are state required to be able to do something like
Was she state
mandatory
required to go on the
service.
raid?
No, but she didn't. Did she participate in any offensive capacity in the raid, or did she just sit inside of the car?
No, but that's Hassan's saying you don't need to commit to participate in
Yeah,
offensive
you're
capacity.
having a conversation with me as to whether or not it's reasonable to call her a terrorist. And your argument is it is. Mine is that's retarded. There is
okay,
no
hold
argument
on.
for her being a terrorist.
Is it reasonable to call the Houthi kid a terrorist?
Yeah, because he said he's a Houthi and he supports the Houthis.
Okay, so Ela Klein
Did
obviously
did
supported
Ela
the IDF,
Klein
right? When
say
she was
she
in it?
supports
No?
the annexing of the West Bank?
I don't know if we have her on tape saying she supports the annexing of the West Bank, but she participated. She was
Okay,
in this
does
group,
she support?
right?
Does she support the annexing of Gaza?
Also, do we have more evidence that Ela Klein was in the IDF, or more evidence that the Houthi kid was in the Houthis?
I mean, we have perfect evidence. We have perfect evidence that both of them were a part of both. I don't think
so
that's
he said he was a Houthi.
That's like saying which
Hilo
one
was a
of
part of the
us.
IDF. Hold on, I'm going to keep cooking. Hold on, I'm not done talking
more
yet.
evidence that we were on Kick. We both stream on Kick,
obviously,
so both of us were objectively
obviously,
on
Hilo
Kick.
Klein is a member of that. So Hilo beats him there.
And obviously the kid was a part of the Houthis. He said he was a Houthi.
Okay. I'm black, so I can say the N-word.
Wait, hold on. Are you under the assumption that this guy lied when he said he was a Houthi soldier?
So I'm going to ask the next question to you. Do you have any evidence that he engaged in offensive operations for the Houthis?
He said he was a soldier, no? In the Ethan video? He said, are you a soldier? And he said, yes. No?
I've never seen any evidence that he participates in any offensive operations.
Wait, he said yes.
People are saying, no, he didn't.
Okay.
Can I get a link to the interview?
Maybe we'll have to go back through it. I thought I remember him explicitly saying, are you a Houthi? Like, or are you a soldier? I think there was two different things. Maybe I'm misremembering. And he said yes. He just said yes.
Okay. I'm just saying what evidence we have that he engages in offensive operations.
It doesn't. And if
Hold
you
on.
have the
so you would say if he didn't engage in offensive operations, you wouldn't call him a Houthi or a terrorist? You wouldn't call him a terrorist?
Let's assume that the soldier thing can't be found. Let's assume that's just absolute nonsense. Okay. No, I don't have evidence that he was a soldier, but I have evidence to show that he actively supports the Houthis while they're engaged in genocidal actions, or sorry, not necessarily genocidal actions, but like terrorist actions. Yes, I have evidence of that because he's actively supporting them during terrorist actions. Do you have any evidence to show Hila Klein is supporting like terrorist behavior from the IDF?
Terrorist behavior? I just know she was like basically complicit in it. By the way, just so you know, I don't think she's a valid military target, right? I disagree on that. But the problem with me, for me, just real quick, I just need to tell you what my actual problem is with this. But the problem for me is that a bunch of fucking retards, like this Destiny idiot in my chat, have come out and said Hassan's explicitly calling for Hila Klein's death, which is obviously not happening. They're just lying because they hate Hassan. That's where I'm coming from. So I'm saying Hassan is 1,000 times more tethered to reality than any of the other people. And so I'm going to sit here and keep talking shit about those other people. Not really you.
You think Hassan is more tied to reality on this? No, I could. Wait, hold on. Which one is the more reasonable opinion? That everybody's retarded for thinking that he is saying that that Hila Klein is a valid military target, or that other people,
nobody thinks he's retarded for saying
Hassan is saying that is a valid military target. I think it is way more retarded for Hassan to go live and say everyone who believes that I was saying Hila Klein was a valid military target is fucking stupid. I think that is a way more retarded statement than the statement that
no. Sorry, you're totally misconstruing what I'm saying. Hold on. It's not about valid military target. They're saying that he is directly calling for Hila Klein's death. There are a bunch of people who are actually going live right now.
I would say if you are saying it
there's
is
Tectone, just chill for 2 seconds. I'm just going to finish my point really quickly. There's Asmongold, there's Tectone, there's Destiny saying that he should be killed for this. That you could argue Hassan should be killed for this, okay? Hassan is not making a direct call to violence in any way.
I didn't see the full context of that. If I see the full context of that, I imagine that I'd probably, almost no matter what, would disagree with it. The only circumstance I could see where that could make sense to me is if he's explicitly talking about Hila Klein, justifying some kind of violence against Hassan for this. And
they're saying that actually, Hassan was directly saying you can go to her house right now and kill her. That's what Asmongold said. That's what Tectone said. They're arguing that Hassan's arguing it's legal to murder in California.
That is a more reasonable interpretation of his words than the interpretation that you are retarded if you think that's what he said. To be clear, Hassan's position is more retarded on what he said than what I believe they are.
That's totally crazy. And I think the only way you can believe that is if you have everything. No. You have to have the whole context stripped out. Have you watched the full VOD now?
Actually, I had a normie. I had a literal unplugged person.
Can you answer just real quick before you start the story? Can you just tell me if you watched the whole context? Did you go back to like when he's watching the documentary?
Yeah, I did. I watched, what is it? I watched it from the VOD. I watched about 3 minutes.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I watched about 3 minutes. I had a normie, okay? Somebody who's not plugged into politics, listen to it. And they were like, nah, that sounds pretty bad. Yeah, no, that sounds like they're saying they're a valid military target. Okay, so I heat checked this. Okay, so this idea that it's just like, oh, no, you have to be retarded to interpret it this way. No, you have to be charitable to Hassan and his fucking platform. Don't forget, this isn't some dude off the side of the road. This is a person who gets paid money to speak in front of an audience. We have to hold him to a different standard, and he misses that standard in spades on this one. And that is the problem. I agree that his intent certainly was not to do this. I don't know why this would be the moment he decided to do this. If this was. But
what does he have to do other than repeatedly stating that he's only talking about active military targets, active military and active, like, illegal settlers, armed illegal settlers in the West Bank? What more do you need him to say to exclude Ela Klein, right, from being a valid target right now?
Don't bring her up because it's not relevant. That was the head of this whole discussion. She isn't a part of this argument. He ham-fisted her into this argument. That is the reason for this confusion. She doesn't support what they're doing. As per my knowledge, please correct me if I'm wrong. As per my knowledge, she doesn't support what's going on in the West Bank. She doesn't support what's going on with the annexing of all of fucking Gaza. She doesn't support any of these things. She was in the IDF a long time ago. It's not like she was in the IDF yesterday and it was mandatory military service. When she went on this raid, she wasn't like actively a part of it. She just sat inside of the car. Like all of these various things.
Was she forced to go on the raid?
So she had to get ham-fisted into that statement. Ham-fisted into a statement where he is currently talking about the validity of targeting people in the IDF right now. That's what he's talking about. And to ham-fist somebody that was in there decades ago, like, what the fuck are you doing?
That's a part of his secondary point, which is everybody thinks that Israel is that Israel is the moral actor here because they look like the real army, and the other people look like terrorists. He's saying, no matter what, here, when you have these guys, no matter how they look, they're still the good people here, and no matter how nice and kind the IDF looks, even if it's your favorite podcaster's wife when she goes on that raid, it doesn't matter. They're the morally bad actor here. That's his point.
You are rephrasing something I already agree. I agree his intent wasn't to say that. That requires charity. If you read the transcript of what he said, he is putting her in there as like, yeah, you know what? She's right up here with all these various different people. Let me use this example. He like, if we read the transcript line for line, I think it is, you have to be charitable to him to imply that he isn't saying that she is on that level of valid military target. You have to be charitable. I
just need to, yeah, sure. I'm going to go ahead and, fuck, I've got so many notepad windows. Hold on. I need to get a notepad on screen because we're just going to go through and we'll just write down the statements as they happen, right? I think we can just easily write down the statements as they happen and say which ones apply to, like, as we're going through and talking about it. But give me 1 second. I need to actually figure out how to get, like, a notepad window in here that doesn't have my other notepad windows. Give me a second. God, I miss arguing with people. You're like the only person who will come on and argue about this stuff. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. I just need to get this pulled up. Okay.
Oh.
This should work, I think. I'll go to my own clip here because I got the whole thing clipped out for us. Okay?
Sure.
Right here.
But it shows the thinking.
Like any kind of violence that Israeli settlers or the Israeli military experiences in the West Bank is literally legal, okay? It is legal resistance against an occupying military force. I cannot repeat this enough.
Okay, so right from the beginning of this, any violence they undergo in the West Bank is legal and morally justified, right? Okay. Do you think that he says anything here? Is it just the reference to Ela means... So, to me, that already colors everything that goes on here. Do you disagree?
It's the manner in which he referenced her.
Do you agree that this colors all of his other statements and he's making all other statements within this context? We can argue whether or not he goes on a tangent about Ela.
Yes, I agree. I think this context doesn't make it better. I think it makes it worse because my whole point is that he brings up a erroneous actor who has no connection to the greater point that he's making in order to be able to
there's no connection there.
I think it was a dig. No.
So there's somebody who was just participating on a podcast, 2 days ago, that was calling him a pedophile, right?
Bro, what?
So were they not on their podcast? Did they not throw a PDF?
Hold on. What I'm talking about?
No, it's not a connection. No, the connection is obviously the night raid. The connection is obviously the night raid. But I'm saying there's no reason for him not to take a shot at this person, right? This person is participating in something.
No, there absolutely is because he's wait, hold on. Let's say me and you have a conversation about Israel-Palestine. Is this just a moment to take a shot at, let's just say, I don't know, saying like fucking Tucker Carlson was a part of the night raids? No, what? What the fuck? What connection does he have? Oh, because he justified the night raids at this specific time. Yeah, no. There's a time and there's a place, and in a specific context, no. In the context of talking about valid military targets and whether or not it's justified to target the settlers inside of the West Bank, which it is, obviously besides children, and whether or not it's justified to target the IDF in the West Bank, which it is, and whether or not it's valid to target the IDF in Gaza, which it is, right? To randomly bring up somebody who hasn't been in the IDF for years, who doesn't support what's going on in Gaza.
Sorry, it's not random. It's not random. It's not random. He's obviously bringing her up as a part of like shit talk, right? But I'm saying it is actually like relevant, proximate shit talk.
He's bringing her up in the context of effectively a hit list of morally justified actors. He's going through a list of people who are morally justified to kill, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, now's a good time for me to bring up this other person who was in the IDF in the past.
Went on a raid.
Just that way I can shit on them." No, you're talking about how it's justified to fucking nuke every single person in the IDF, and let me just randomly sprinkle in this other person who's like,
hold on. No. Which people in the IDF? No. He didn't say that. I need you to admit that he's saying IDF members engaging in military operations in the West Bank or the Gaza Strip.
This is bullshit. Wait, are you of the opinion that Hassan would deny the claim that every single person in the IDF is a valid military target?
Are you going to ask me to mind read Hassan when we're arguing about what this clip says?
No, we're not.
Why the fuck would I engage in that?
We're talking about him as a person. My statement is very clear. Okay.
You're literally asking me to read bias into this. Why would I read? Why are you asking me to read bias into it? Why can't we just be unbiased and say this is what he's saying?
Stop. Hey, wait, JSTLK, what is my claim? Run it back to me. What is my claim?
Your claim is that he brought this up for no reason. He threw Hila in here when Hila is not currently an active military target. He put her into the list of active military targets.
Why did he do that?
Because he doesn't like her.
Okay, and what is the consequence of that? What is my argument? I mean, there is because the whole point of my argument. So
you can say in your argument, you would say that bringing her up in the context of being a valid military target, that people would just only hear that and they would think, oh, I'm going to kill Hila Klein.
No. I'm not saying that will necessarily happen. My argument is very simple. In the context of Hassan's coverage and how Hassan is speaking about this specific issue and his audience's opinion of Hila Klein, he has an unbelievably reasonable interpretation that as a result of statements like this, putting her against the backdrop of active, valid military targets who are in the IDF and saying, hey, by the way, my ex-co-host's wife is a part of the IDF, just putting that out there when he knows everybody in his audience believes that like she's a terrorist and she's a Nazi, equivalent to a Nazi, that they're going to view her as on the same moral level as these other valid military targets. Absolutely, he knows that. Now, is it going into that intent? I don't think so. At worst,
hold on, just so we're clear, at worst, that could be she would be a valid military target if she was in Gaza or the West Bank. That's the absolute worst you could read into this.
No. I'm not saying that his intention is to say that she is actively a valid military target. I'm saying the consequence of his statements is saying that she is on the same moral level as these valid military targets as a result of her participation in the apartheid and her participation in the genocide. That is what I am saying. That is the consequence of these.
I think you have to be.
I
think you have to be totally disingenuous.
Is irrelevant, which is 90% of my point, which is the chat's response to him saying that. The chat's response to him saying that is literally to just say terror wife, terrorist wife, Hitler, stuff like that. To go in on her.
Sure.
How is that not a clear indication that they are interpreting
that they don't like
as
her
being similar to these people?
Just to be clear, nobody here likes Hila Klein. I'm not arguing with you that he likes Hila Klein, that he doesn't engage in shit talking against Hila Klein. I'm not arguing that.
Everybody here thinks Hila Klein is genocidal. Step that up. They are genocidal.
Sure. Genocidal in that she supports the state of Israel existing, and Israel will not exist without enforcing their apartheid.
What is Hassan's opinion of people who are propagating the genocide? What does he think should happen to them?
They're not fit to be dog catchers. They're not fit for any elected office.
Yeah, and then off of that, great. What does that? They're not fit. They should be excised from all of society. And then when we're talking about in the context of this person's backdrop against valid military targets, do you think that there's a reasonable interpretation that, oh yeah, some people might view this person as a valid military target?
No, because it
No?
obviously is downstream of this context.
And we're operating off of entirely different. I think if you spend every waking moment of your ability to shit on other people, saying that people like this don't deserve to be in civil society, and then when it comes time to talk about people who deserve to be killed, ought to be killed. His argument was that it's morally just.
By the way, just to be clear, you keep hyperbolizing this. The argument is when these people are engaging in offensive operations in the West Bank or Gaza, they are valid targets for violence.
No, to be clear, he said it's morally good. They ought to be killed. He said it's morally good. It's a good thing.
Morally good for them to defend themselves, yes. In the West Bank and the Gaza Strip.
So it is morally good for them to kill these people. So that's what I was saying. It is morally good.
When they're engaged in offensive military operations in the Gaza Strip or the West Bank. You're never going to not be able to include that because it is literally explicit or implicit through this entire clip.
Relevant. The reason why that's not relevant is because he's putting the backdrop of somebody that has connection to it when their people inside of his audience believe that this person is morally impunable up to this day for that same action. So the problem is you have a person who him and his audience have been pushing is a pro-genocidal maniac who is unfit for civil society, and your clever idea is to take actual people that you're saying are morally good to be killed and put that person in direct connection with them with no actual argument. There's no merit to the argument that he's making, and I refuse this idea. He's talking about the uniforms, or he's talking about like this passing. This is ridiculous.
He's literally saying that the whole time. He's literally saying that the whole time.
He's not.
If I went back.
He's not talking about the uniforms. He's making a level one take. He's talking about that.
He's doing that the whole time.
Thing. We can go over it. He's making the level one take of, bad things are happening in the West Bank, bad things are happening in Gaza, and therefore, because the IDF and the settlers are doing it, they're valid military targets, which is true. He's doing that. He's not doing any deeper analysis, though.
Do you disagree that he is also talking about why people allow this, why people aren't more outraged about it? In the context of the people on the Palestinian side look like terrorists, and the people on the Israeli side look justified. Okay, we'll just listen. We'll keep listening.
It's like
let me pull it back so I make sure I don't miss anything.
Is literally legal. Okay, it is legal resistance against an occupying military force. I cannot repeat this enough. Just like any kind of violence, any kind of violence that the Israeli occupying force experiences in the Gaza Strip is actually, once again, totally legal and totally moral resistance by the Palestinians. Doesn't matter if they're the Al-Aqsa Brigade.
Do we disagree with any of this yet? That any kind of violence that is against illegal settlers or military or the IDF, any kind of violence that illegal settlers or military experience in the West Bank is legal. And then the same statement, any kind of violence that the IDF experiences in Gaza is totally legal and totally moral resistance. Do we disagree with those two statements?
Say that within reason, yeah. I mean, you could argue like prisoner of war shit or something, but within, like, I'm not going to get nitpicky.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if they're a part of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Doesn't matter if they're DFLP, PFLP, or even former Fatah militants. Okay.
So he's saying right there, do you know what he's saying there?
Doesn't matter if they're former members of like various different like resistance groups.
Now, why would he make that differentiation? Why would he say it doesn't matter if they're like former terrorists?
Because because he is arguing that any group of people that participate in armed resistance is justified in doing it. Very clear. It's very obvious.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Because any resistance is morally justified. Okay.
Okay. It is perfectly legal, perfectly valid, and perfectly moral. Okay. 100%. This is not
moral resistance, by the way, is what he's included in one of these. I am going to give him resistance on each of these. Like, this is, to me, it's saying resistance from the occupation, right? In these territories that they control, you are allowed to resist.
Not like a black and this is not a gray area.
I don't agree with this. Because his audience, do you disagree that his audience interprets resistance as including resistance against like support for the Israeli state?
No. And that's totally
You don't
outside of
believe
this.
that
It's
his
totally
audience
outside of this
believes
hypothetical
resistance
because he
includes
is
support for the Israeli
clearly
state.
talking only about the West Bank and the Gaza Strip in the context of watching a documentary on armed settlers and segregation inside the West Bank.
Hold on. I understand he is talking about this. I understand that he is talking about this. What I'm stating to you is that resistance amongst his audience is not exclusively to do with inside of Gaza or the West Bank. That's what I'm stating. Is that resistance is not exclusively set to that parameter. That they believe resisting the apartheid, resisting the genocide is a global effort that must be undergone.
So I totally agree that some portion of his audience believes that. Do you think it's?
I think every single person in his audience that agrees with him on Palestine agrees with that. Say again?
Do you think it's incumbent on Hassan to say, actually, I don't mean that you could do anything to any of these people? Because he is clearly arguing this. And you think because of his audience, because his audience believes this, he has to go and actually say things that are like totally outside of his perception?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If I'm having a conversation about how resistance to the IDF, resistance to the state of Israel or the Israel's occupation and genocidal conduct inside of Gaza, if I'm stating that these people who are putting pressure onto these areas are valid military targets, I need to specify, if I was in Hassan's shoes, I need to specify that I'm talking explicitly and exclusively about the individuals who are actively participating.
So you've already agreed with me that he is explicitly talking exclusively about this. We've agreed on that. You're saying that people in his audience won't believe that.
On the deductive merits, but if we're talking about the interpretation that like his audience or the people watching him can easily walk away with, no, I think this is an entirely separate idea. I can be charitable to any human being alive.
Audience's misunderstandings of his speech.
I am going to be charitable to this guy in this moment, but that comes from charity. That does not come from listening to what he says.
So even though we both clearly agree that he is not labeling Ela Klein a valid target here, right? We both agree that he is
I've
clearly
said that
not.
since the beginning. I do not believe the actual argument he is making.
I'm not only saying that now. I agree with you. You said it from the beginning.
Yes.
I'm just laying it out for people that you agree. So we only disagree on like what his burden is with regards to his audience to double down or triple down or quadruple down on saying, now this is only in the West Bank or Gaza. This is only in the West Bank or Gaza. That's what we disagree on. Because I think he's already made it clear. Okay, go. Sorry, I don't want to cut you.
And a large part of my argument is going to be predicated on the idea that he is obfuscating what he's talking about by bringing up somebody who is not currently in Israel, not currently in Gaza, not currently in the West Bank. They're in fucking California. They have no support for anybody in the West Bank, any of Israel's operations in the West Bank, to my knowledge. Somebody, again, correct me if I'm wrong. They have no support for the annexing of all of Gaza. Again, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I truly, if I'm wrong, that could change my entire perspective on this. But between those two things, he is bringing up somebody who has no connection to the point he's making. The point he is making is that these are monsters who are justifying and participating in this annexation. And then he brings up somebody who's neither participating nor justifying what's going on in these areas.
And that could possibly be totally true if there was not the secondary point here. Sure, that would only be true if he wasn't making his secondary point here, which is why he brings up the former terrorists and says it doesn't matter who's participating in resistance on the Palestinian side, because he's saying it doesn't matter how bad they are. It doesn't matter what their reputation is. They could be the most morally black actors in the world. If they're engaging in resistance within the Gaza Strip or the West Bank, they are morally good in that case. That is a morally good action, even if they are morally black people, even if they're evil. Okay? That's what he's saying. That's what this point is making about the terrorists. And so the converse of that is even the most morally good, even the most innocent of people participating in these operations on the IDF side is still a target.
I'm sorry. Listen, bro, I love you.
That is
I'm
absolutely
never
what
letting you
he's
get away
saying
with
here.
that. I'm never. No. You're telling me that the reason why Hassan brought up Ela Klein is to say, well, even the most morally good people like Ela Klein, if she participates in this,
the least evil.
No. He believes she is a pro-genocidal monster. He would never bring her up as an example of somebody who's clean.
Yeah, he thinks like basically everybody who's left of like the 99th percentile leftist in anybody who's right of that in Israel is like a genocidal monster, right?
What?
Do you think Hassan thinks that Ela Klein is, better if you were to put her in the population of the Israelis, like how good would she be versus the rest of the Israelis? Do you think he would think she's like a really evil Israeli or a really good Israeli, relatively?
No, I'm not sure what the fuck this has to do with anything, but if I had to guess, I'd say maybe based on his rhetoric, based on what he says or what he actually believes?
Based on what he says, because I can't mind read this guy.
Oh, then yeah, she's
I don't
the
know
same.
why you differentiate between the two. It
She's
feels
the
like
same,
a good way
but
to like
worse
get
because she
thrown
has a
off.
platform. She's the same, but worse because she has a platform.
Okay. I think Hassan believes that all of these people, like anybody who is not like actively protesting against the government right now, is genocidal, right? They're supporting an apartheid state. They are literally ethnically cleansing and starving to death.
Yeah, but he would consider somebody like Ela Klein worse because she has a podcast where, according to all of his rhetoric, she is spewing pro-genocide rhetoric because he's deranged. He has no idea of reality. He'd 100% say Ela Klein is worse than some random Israeli who just like goes to their 9-to-5, who's an accountant.
I'm talking about like his read of her beliefs, like what she would be doing if she was in the IDF right now. Whoops, I just skipped forward. Fuck.
Okay, I'm talking about her as a person. He views her as, and more specifically, he speaks of her as if she's like a walking demon. That's the way that he speaks of her.
He's talking about people who are getting like actively raided and actively like violence is being done to them in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Ela Klein was the secretary for the commander of raids into Ramallah, right? We both agree on that?
I'll take your word for it. I don't know what her position was.
She was.
I'll just take
literally watched the clip earlier, but we literally watched the clip earlier. That is the connection.
Wait,
we both agree that is a reasonable connection, right? To say that, hey, there's somebody I know who's like popular. There's probably the person people would most identify with. No, I don't believe that's a reasonable
right? connection. No, I don't think so. No. Let's say that Sam Cedar was in the IDF. Do you think he would have brought up Sam Cedar? Why do you think he brought her up?
Yes, I think he would have brought up Sam Cedar.
Okay,
if Sam Cedar was entering the West Bank as a part of a military operation for the IDF, he would be a valid target. Yes, 100%. That's so easy. That's so fucking easy.
He would have brought up.
Yes, we do live in totally different realities. If Sam Cedar was a part of the IDF and he entered the West Bank as a part of a military operation for the IDF, he would be a valid target of violence. Absolutely, yes.
Oh, he would.
Oh my God! I'm not. That's the easiest. Thank you so much for giving me this. Thank you.
Maybe there's a disconnection going on here. I'm not saying that when challenged, and if you can find anybody who could get in a room with this guy to challenge him, if he didn't immediately try and leave that room and call you like a baby killer, right? If somebody could get into a room and challenge him and say, "Hey, if Sam Cedar was in the IDF with this." Would he invoke
you guys are
Sam Cedar? No. What is the motives for him invoking Ela Klein? He would not have a similar motive
because
to
Ela
invoke
Klein
Sam Cedar.
Has gone on a raid, and he's simultaneously making the point and shitting on her. Yes, he's simultaneously making the point.
So you believe
and shitting on her.
So let's say a reality. Let's just get this hard down. If Ela Klein in the reality did not serve in the IDF and Sam Cedar did, you believe he would have brought up Sam Cedar in this context?
Yes. 100%. Especially if Sam Cedar was in the exact position Ela was. Hold on. So if Sam Cedar was in the exact position Ela was, yes, 100%.
No. I'm sorry. I'm not talking about
just so we're clear. I have to get a point out really quickly. Just to be clear, what my belief is for his position is just this one thing. Okay, I have to get this point out. I'm sorry, I have to get this point out. What his position is no matter who the person is, if you are engaging in offensive operations into the Gaza Strip or West Bank as a member of the IDF, you are a valid target for violence, no matter what. That is the point he is making here. Absolutely yes. So it wouldn't matter if it's Sam Cedar. It wouldn't matter if it was Hassan Piker. If it was Hassan Piker, you could still... Oh, hold on. Wait, what? Oh, Relly muted. Okay.
I asked if you could say again. I didn't hear your point.
Okay. Sorry. I think his point is, in my opinion, no matter who is engaging in offensive operations on behalf of the IDF as a member of the IDF into the West Bank or into the illegally occupied parts of the West Bank or the illegally occupied parts of Gaza, those people are valid military targets. Full stop. Valid targets for resistance, for violent resistance. That is what he's saying here. Doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter how much they participate, which, by the way, I disagree with. But it's not him calling for somebody to die. It's not him calling for violence. And I don't even think it's reasonable to say that you could interpret it as Ela Klein is a valid target for violence in Bel Air right now.
I disagree to his audience, but my whole point is that we live in diametrically opposed realities. If you think all else equal, if Ela Klein was not in the IDF and Sam Cedar was, he would have brought him
Just
up
to
in
be
this
clear,
context. It
Just to
is
be clear,
very,
it's not
very
just the IDF.
obvious.
It's not
So
just the
let
IDF,
me-
right?
so hold on.
You're misrepresenting my point because it's not just the IDF. It's participating in night raids into Ramallah.
It's not relevant. It's not relevant. Okay, it's not
That is
relevant to the
relevant.
point that I'm about to make. It's not relevant to
Okay.
the point I'm about to make. Okay,
Well, it's misrepresenting my
Which
point,
is,
so I'm going to correct.
Do
but go
you
ahead.
believe that there was any attempt? Because this will just get to the heart of it. Do you think he wanted to bash Ela Klein by bringing her up in this context, or do you think he
Yes.
was just bringing her up just as it? Okay, so you do not agree that he would have brought Sam Cedar up, because why would he want to bash Sam Cedar? He loves Sam Cedar.
Because he got to do both here.
So you think he would have brought up Sam Cedar to randomly bash Sam Cedar?
No, I don't think he would have tried to bash Sam Cedar. I think he would have continued on with the example and used that as an example to say, no matter what, if you are participating in illegal raids into the fucking West Bank, you're a valid target for resistance, for violent resistance.
So he would have just randomly bashed Sam Cedar for no reason.
I don't think it's bashing. I think Sam Cedar would agree with
You
that.
don't think it's bashing?
You guys just
In the
don't
context
understand.
of
You guys
valid
actually just don't
military
understand their worldview at all.
Nah,
Sam
that's
Cedar would
insane,
literally
bro.
agree with that
That's
point.
insane. That's insane. That's
Dude,
insane.
so hold on. So just to be
bringing
clear,
up
no.
valid military
Just,
targets,
that's insane.
you're
That's
bringing up
insane. You
valid
need to answer
military
this question
targets,
right now.
and
You
talk
think
about
Sam
somebody who
Cedar
has
would disagree
no
with what I just said?
connection,
That if he
current
entered the West Bank as a part of an illegal raid,
shot.
that he would be a valid target for violence?
shot.
You think Sam Cedar would disagree with that?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is very simple. In this context, the manner in which he brings up Ela Klein is very obviously to bash her. And you already agreed with that. The manner in
It's
which he
both.
brought her up,
I'm telling
and
you,
the
there's a
reason
relevant
why he
connection,
brought her
and
up
he's bashing
was
her.
to shit on her and compare
There's a
her to
relevant
people
connection,
who
and
actively
he's shitting
deserve
on
to be
her.
killed.
There's a relevant connection.
That is the point.
And he's shitting on her. It's both at the same
No,
time.
there is no good connection. The connection is dog shit. There is no good connection.
There's a great connection. She literally went on the illegal raids. Sorry, I say illegal. Technically, don't know
that's
necessarily
not
illegal.
relevant.
She went on night raid into the
That's not relevant
West
in the
Bank.
How is it relevant? Let me just very simply. How is it relevant for in the context of people who are currently, because that's the context. People who are currently engaged in military action in the West Bank and Gaza are valid military targets. How is it relevant to bring up somebody who not only is no longer engaged in military action in the West Bank or in Gaza, or they're not only that, they're not in Gaza, they're not in Israel, they're not even in the continent, nor do they support what's going on in the West Bank, nor do they support
you don't
what's
even
going
have to
on
add
in
more
Gaza.
qualifiers. I can literally tell you right off the top of my head.
No, because the reason why those qualifiers matter, if she was still in Israel in the IDF and shit like that, I could be far more
You're
understanding.
just saying
to
a
this
bunch of
argument.
things. I can just tell you my point. All the rest of this is like
Yeah,
irrelevant.
go ahead. I mean, those bunch of things are very, very relevant to my
the
argument.
whole point he's going
May
through
not
here is
be-
he's saying no matter how bad the actors are on the Palestinian side, they're still justified. No matter how good the actors are in the IDF, no matter how much you think you should trust them because they look like moral actors, they look like a real military, they look like they're the good guys. No matter how much that is the case, they're still bad. It's still morally good for those really evil-looking guys
I'm not
to attack the
getting any
really
of that.
good-looking guys.
The only part where I get that is where he says at the end, like their clothing, talks about the clothing of the terrorists. That's it.
So he talks about the clothing of the
The
Israeli
90% of the clip is literally here.
Wait, he talks about
ABC's
the
like baby's first
Israeli military, right?
specification for why
talks
the
about the Israeli
IDF
military,
are
right?
valid military targets.
Yeah, but he talks about how the Israeli military looks, right? Even if they look like the good guys?
It's not about their uniforms.
Okay, what does he mean when he says they look like the good guys?
He's referring to like their structure in comparison to Hamas. Like they're a structured military. They have good PR.
Okay, but their reputation, their reputation, right?
They have good relations with America. They're postured
for the
as
reputation,
like an
right?
ally.
So the reputation.
You sure?
Yeah, so I'm saying the terrorist reputation too. That's why he's saying the terrorists by their reputation. Before he talks about how they look, he talks about their reputation. He's saying no matter what Palestinian is doing it, that resistance is morally justified. But we can keep watching as well.
But that's not relevant to that's not a connection to Ela. Ela has no connection.
It is a connection to Ela.
Ow.
It is a connection to Ela because Ela engaged in these exact operations that he is criticizing that are happening in this video.
So
doesn't even matter if it's your favorite podcaster's. Doesn't even matter if it's your favorite podcaster's wife.
He's randomly bringing up somebody who has no current connection to the conflict, doesn't agree with the conflict.
She absolutely has a current connection to the conflict and a current connection to him.
no connection to the conflict in a manner that would be relevant.
In a material
to this
sense, sure. Like she's not
Yeah,
officially a member of the
there's
IDF.
no
She's not in
connection to the
Israel.
conflict.
Yeah.
And he's just bringing her up. What? Because she, what? Just because?
Because he doesn't like
there's
her.
No actual
and
argument.
and to me, he's saying it doesn't matter which person who participated in these raids, who participates in this violence. Doesn't matter which person it is. No matter how good they might be. No matter what, they're still in the wrong.
He doesn't believe they're good. His audience doesn't believe they're good.
Well, he's literally saying no matter your favorite podcaster's wife.
No,
I think he's explicitly laying that out for people who aren't in his audience. If you tell me,
you're saying he's bringing her up as an example of a good person who could be a valid military target because
versus
they were
the
part of
average person who's raiding into Ramallah. Yeah,
he doesn't believe that she is a good person. Like I feel like you're playing like 90 chess to justify where he just wanted to take a jab at this chick by comparing her to active valid military targets haphazardly.
Why did he? Why would he even bring up the night raids? Why would he bring up the night raids at all?
To shit on her.
Are night raids connected to what he's talking about right now?
Yeah, they are.
Okay. Did Hila go on night raids?
I'm assuming the one raid was at night. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the connection. And he is saying it's a
not
shit on her.
connection.
He is
He's
pointing out
talking
Hila
about
Klein
people
went on
who
night raids
actively
too.
Engaged in violence. That's what he's talking about.
I'm telling you that it is both a relevant point. It is a point where it like makes sense where you could bring this person up, and because he's a spiteful bitch, he's doing it.
No, it's not a relevant point. It's not relevant at all because she doesn't support the conflict in the manner that he's criticizing it, and he doesn't. She's not even in the region. It's not relevant.
She doesn't have to be in the region. He literally says it was in the past. He literally says it in the past tense.
Yeah, I understand. My point is that bringing up a past tense situation isn't relevant. It's not relevant to this conversation. He's very
it's totally
obviously
relevant
just
to this
bringing her up so
conversation.
he can get a dig at her.
She literally participated in the exact thing he's criticizing. And it's funny for him to bring that up to his chat because fuck that person. Her husband's basically calling me a pedophile right now.
What? Like, what? I'm not sure what any of this has to do with the argument.
That he's talking shit to Hila Klein because of them consistently talking shit about him, right? Making multiple podcasts about him.
I have no issue with him talking shit. What I have an issue with is him making a statement that very obviously implies to his audience that she's of a similar moral caliber to people who could be actively killed.
Okay, but they can only be actively killed when they're engaging in a certain context, right?
Where does he say that? Where does he say that? Because in a conversation,
point 1 and point 2 that you totally agreed with me on. Point 1
okay,
and point 2, they can only be actively killed when they're engaged.
He's talking about people who are actively engaged in military actions, and then he brings up somebody who is not engaged in any military action, who condemns the military action, and is fucking on a different hemisphere, bro. And you're just, what? No, the argument breaks down. I agree.
It doesn't break down. It doesn't break down. It's all within this context.
Military action. Yeah, stuff like this. Yes, anybody engaged in the current military action. And then he randomly brings up somebody that is not engaged in the current military action. If you want to do that, what he would say was, he would have to say...
Does he confirm both before and after that it is only people who are actively engaged?
What?
Hold on, did you just say someone who's never engaged in any military action? She has engaged in a military action.
No. Let me get my point on. We're talking about him having a discussion about current contextual military action. That's what this conversation is about. It's about anybody who is engaged in this military action is justified.
Hold on. This is why I'm saying there is a secondary point here that's absolutely happening, whether or not you guys want to accept this or not, that where he is also talking about how this has been acceptable for so long. And it has to do with how the Israeli army is organized and how the Palestinians are like a ragtag group of terrorists. It absolutely has to do with that fucking context. That's why he brings up that it doesn't matter if they're literally former terrorists. Sure.
Like, you could say that's a part of the argument is that context. You could say that's a part of the argument. I do not believe he sufficiently, and I would say it's self-evident by his chat and how his community took it. There is not sufficient context.
I'm going to reject on its face that you can base somebody's opinion on how a chat talks about them, okay, or talks about what their opinion was. We've rejected this so many times in the past for so many different streamers.
Our disagreement isn't about his opinion. I don't believe that his intent was to call for her death. That's not my opinion. I don't believe that's his intent. My argument is that his audience is going to say, after that point, Hila Klein is of a similar moral caliber to the people who are actively engaged in Gaza and in the West Bank. And it seems as though his audience agrees with my interpretation of how they would probably take it.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not even making. I'm not making a comment. I'm not making a comment on how his audience receives it. Right?
Huh?
I don't care about. I don't give a shit about how his audience receives it. I literally
well, then
don't
you
care
don't
at all.
care about the conversation. Can you tell me what every single person's criticism is? Every single person's criticism.
They're saying that he is saying it's legal to kill people in California.
Okay.
In terms of viewership, they're saying
Klein.
it's legal to kill Hila Klein in the state of California. That's what Asmongold and Tectone both said. This was arguing.
The problem isn't whether or not Hasan.
Wait, who has the bigger audience?
Is
Asmongold or Tectone?
Are going to interpret
Asmongold
this
or
way.
Hasan?
I think it's justified to do it. Do you think Asmon thinks Hasan is going to take like a fucking Glock and go to Hila Klein's house?
No.
He
literally said you should report this guy to the FBI. You should report this guy to the FBI because he's just said it's legal to kill Hila Klein right now. That's what he said.
Yes. Nobody. Do you think Asmon thinks that Hasan himself is going to take a gun and do that? Do you think that's what he meant when he said that?
No, he's just calling out into the ether. But hold on. He's saying Hasan himself said that. Yes, he is saying Hasan himself said that. Just to be clear, he's saying Hasan himself said that.
No.
Do we have to go watch it so we can figure out what Asmongold is saying? Because Asmongold is 100% saying that Hasan said it's legal and justified to kill Hila Klein.
Very simple English. I'm going to put this out in very simple English, and we're going to see if we agree or disagree on this. The issue that people have with Hasan's statement is that people will interpret it as justification to say Hila Klein is a valid target
No.
Yes, it is. That is just true.
No. Asmongold literally says outright, this is legal direct calls to violence. He's saying it's legal and morally good to go kill Hila Klein right now.
To who, J-Stop? To who? To who is it calls to violence to? To who? The audience. The audience.
Everyone.
To who?
But it's about what Hasan's saying. That's what he's criticizing.
Yes, he is saying stuff that is reasonably interpretable as saying Hila
it's
Klein
not.
is the moral
It's not.
equivalent of
It is straight
active
up not.
military
It's not in any way. It's not in any way.
Yes.
We both agreed. So you're arguing that retards could say, "Oh well, Hila Klein bad, so we can kill Hila Klein."
The entire audience is retarded, and you agree. Yes, when you cultivate a retarded audience, and then you say something retarded.
We apparently just vowed what the audience thinks now. The audience makes jokes, right?
Dude,
Every streamer, every content creator is beholden to their audience. If their audience thinks something, if you can create the perception that their audience thinks something, then you get to go and punish them for it. Makes sense, I guess.
Yes, if you farm a retarded audience and then you say something retarded to them that could be interpreted as go fucking smack this chick, yes, you're responsible. Yes.
I don't think it can be reasonably interpreted this way. Okay, so what is Dan saying? Hold on, what is Dan saying? Let's see what Dan's saying. Here's the high quality edit of Hasan wishing for Hila's death, by the way. Do you think that framing is accurate?
What?
This is Dan.
Here is a high quality edit of Hasan wishing for Hila's death. No, I don't agree that Hasan is wishing for their death.
Okay, so that's what people are saying.
Clip. No.
Is this saying that Hasan's audience sees his totally not calling for Hila's death as him calling for the death, or is Dan saying here that Hasan is directly calling for the death?
That isn't people's worry. People's worry. I agree that people think that this is a direct one-to-one go snipe this person. I don't agree with that. My argument, which is what they're scared of, they're not worried about the words. The problem is you're saying, oh, because Hasan said this, nobody would care. Guess what? I promise you, Dan Saltman would not care if Hasan said this in the shower. He would not give a fuck, okay? The reason why anybody is worried about this is because he said it live in front of people who could interpret their words as a death wish.
Nobody else on the entire internet
that is the reason why they're worried.
This opinion on like level of audience culpability, like creator audience culpability.
That is such bullshit, man. What are you talking about?
That your chat goes and says Hila in the chat, and now that's proof that Hasan was calling for her death, or that people think he's calling for her death. Because they say the same thing they say whenever Hila Klein's brought up in any context. I guarantee you, we go find any time Hila Klein's brought up in any context, do you think they spam the same words or not?
What? What do you? Those
Heart
same
of
words
hearts.
as what?
When he brings
Who?
up Hila Klein in any context, do you think they spam the same thing? Baby killing Klein, genocidal Hila? Do you think they spam all those same words or not?
Over a period of time, yeah, it didn't start that way, but he cultivated the audience to believe that she was like pro-genocide,
that's
and then
just
also
him? Do
inside
you
of
think
his
that's
coverage,
just
he
him?
says,
You don't
like,
think there's
pro-genocide.
any culpability for Ethan and his audience constantly building up this cycle? You don't think there's any culpability on both sides at all?
There's maybe a little bit. If you ask my honest opinion, I 100% am Team Ethan. I think it is. I think the idea that I don't think you walk upright if you are in any way supportive of Hasan on this issue.
So
don't
I
think
would
you walk
say
upright.
that the way the chat reacted would have happened no matter what. If he mentioned Hila in any context. So the idea that we're using the chat reaction
why?
to signal
Why
the
is that
fact,
true?
to
Why-
signal
why
the
is
fact
that
that he
true?
was calling for her death somehow, you're using the chat as an example, doesn't matter. Doesn't
Yes.
matter because it totally defeats this point. Yeah, they hate fucking Hila.
Yes.
That doesn't mean
and
they're
what
going
do
to try to
you
kill
think-
her.
What do you think? Speech like
we
this,
agree,
what
right?
effect
Just
do you
because they
think-
hate Hila and they talk
what
shit about her does not mean they
effect do you
want to kill
think
her,
speech
right?
like this has on them. Do you think that they're going to have a higher or lower opinion of her as a result of speech like this?
Lower opinion? Sure.
Okay. Yeah, they will. So I don't know why
Yeah.
you're using this as an argument. Well,
Why
they
does that
already
mean
had a
that he
low
was
opinion
calling
of
for her death,
Yeah,
or
no
that they
shit,
interpreted
he's
as her
confirming
as
as
him
like a
calling for her death?
pro-genocide person
Okay,
for like
now explain to me
fucking
why
what, over
him,
a year?
Explain to me why him lowering their opinion of her slightly is because of him
I don't
calling
think
for
this
her
is
death,
slight.
or their
I don't think
perception that he's calling for their death.
The whole point of this is it's not slight. The whole point of this is that it's not a slight reduction. This is
I'm
putting
arguing,
her
so
up
I'm
against the
arguing, and
backdrop
we can
of
go
other
find
people that
clips
are
of
morally
this, okay?
justified to kill.
We can go find clips of this, but I'm arguing that anytime he brings Hila up, you get the same chat reaction.
The issue isn't.
Do you agree with
that
this?
what-
You're
the
dodgy.
issue
You agree with that,
isn't
right?
what
Yes or no? Do
the
you agree with
chat
that?
says.
Do you agree with that the chat would say that?
I mean, not
Yes.
in every single context, but in most contexts, sure. The issue isn't.
So I actually have to do one more thing here, just really quickly, please.
I already answered, bro. I already answered.
I know, but it's really important. You told me the main reason you knew that they think he's calling for her death is because of their chat reaction.
No,
and now
I
you
didn't.
just told me that they'd
Are you
respond
not
that way in
listening
any
to me
context.
intentionally, or are you doing this on accident? I honestly can't tell. I'm not saying.
So when I
that the
asked you,
reason
why do you think
they
his
are
chat's calling for
her-
the death?
The reason we know that he's calling for her death is because of that
Getting water,
reaction.
you got all
I
the-
never said that. In fact, I said the opposite. What I'm saying is that it is clear that they are honing in on her as a morally egregious actor by spamming that when she is brought up. That is my point. It's not that they're ingesting it as like, oh, this is just an example to be able to make a greater point that he's trying to make. It's that they're explicitly using this as ammo to further go harder against her against the backdrop of a list of people he thinks it's morally justified to kill. That's my point. And I think it is very reasonably interpretable that he is saying that they're on the same level. And especially because it sounds like we had a principal disagreement here, which is really, really different and really, really weird to me, which is if you farm a retarded audience who are hair triggered to violent action and shit like it, especially in a context of a time in which violent action against this group that is labeled pro-genocide is not uncommon. Okay.
Wait. Hold on. What violent action is Hasan's audience taking? No. What violent action? You have to explain what violent action Hasan's audience is taking. No. Don't proceed until you've done that. No, don't proceed until you say what violent action they're taking in a certain context, right?
Where does he say that? Where does he say that?
Is this
Because
coming
in
through
a
your totally point one and point two that you totally agree with me on? Like point one, okay. Point two, they can only be actively killed when they're engaged.
He's talking about people who are actively engaged in military actions, and then he brings up somebody who is not engaged in any military action, who condemns the military action.
Jesus Christ. Hello? Holy shit. I had to close so many tabs to figure out what was going on. Holy shit. I think I just lost a whole bunch of what you were saying. I had like some tab just started auto-playing music when I sat down for some reason. Jesus Christ! Holy shit. So what violent action is anyone in Hasan's audience taken?
What?
I never said Hasan. You said a group that's on a hair trigger for violent action.
I'll grant that maybe I misspoke, but I can't tell if you're just not listening to me. It's that the group what I said is that against a group of people who have had consistent violent action against them, which is the people who are labeled as pro-genocide. Do you disagree that there has been violent action against people who have been labeled as pro-genocide? You can't. You literally can't.
That's so nebulous that, like, almost certainly. But why would we use that massive? Why would we hold on? Why would we use that massive a grouping? That just seems like you're trying to wed people together for no reason.
He is labeling these people as pro-genocide when people are getting
but he's been doing that before this.
For this opinion, and they're not even pro-genocide.
Who's gotten killed for that opinion?
What are you the niggas who went to the Israelis who went to the
Israeli diplomats
museum?
Who are actually an active part of the fucking government.
People from the embassy who went to the thing?
Okay, so actual Israeli government officials.
Yeah?
Okay, you don't think that had anything to do with them being Israeli government?
Is that an okay thing? Why are you saying that? Like it's like
wait,
okay.
Hold on,
so then
just so we're clear. No. Let me explain it. Let me cook for 2 seconds to explain. I'm saying that you are trying to connect those things, and I have no evidence that it's because they were talked about on the internet as pro-genocide or something. I have no evidence of that. I have every piece of evidence in the world to know that they were, or to think that they were targeted as diplomats of Israel, actual government officials. But you are trying to broaden what the actual connection is and say anybody who's labeled pro-genocide. Guess what? There are some people who are pro-genocide, and those people should be criticized. And I'm not going to not criticize them because some schizophrenic went and attacked Israeli embassy members. That's fucking insane.
Fuck, nobody's talking about criticism. We're talking about the manner in which you criticize people in a highly politicized time. If you don't want to use that example, which I disagree on the merits with, that like, oh yeah, they were part of the Israeli, and they could have been anti-genocide. They literally could have been pro-Palestine. Like, just the argument that they worked at a fucking building is not an argument. I don't believe that's a valid argument against what I am saying.
That's how they were found.
But even still, you can look at other instances.
You understand that I'm not arguing it's justified, right?
Or whatever that happened.
Just to be clear, you understand I'm not justifying that killing, right?
Huh?
You understand I'm not justifying that killing, right? I'm telling you that the reason they were found, the reason they were targeted was because they're Israeli diplomats. Do you disagree?
What?
That he went to a function for Israeli diplomats? Do you disagree that the guy went to a function for Israeli diplomats?
Yes, it was a Israeli. I'm not sure if it was an Israeli. I thought it was just a history, like a historical thing at a Israeli or a museum.
It was young. I believe it was either young Jewish diplomats or young Israeli diplomats.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, something like sure.
Sure. So it wasn't like their genocidal beliefs. It wasn't saying, hey, these people are genocidal. It was their connection to Israel, right? It was their connection to a Jewish thing. You went to a Jewish anti-Israeli war function.
We don't
I don't believe that's true, Frenzy Freeze.
We don't know.
I don't believe that's true.
We don't know those people. I mean, what wasn't like? I'm not sure if it was ever confirmed. Wasn't it like that in that meeting they were talking about like aid and stuff like that? How to get aid to Gaza?
I believe the woman who got shot, I think, worked with some agencies. But honestly, we did a little deep dive into those agencies. They don't seem very compelling to me.
Okay, so the
By
point
the way,
that I'm trying to make, the point that I'm trying to make with the point that I'm trying to make with this is it. Regardless of this, they were targeted by proximity to the Israeli administration. I find no evidence that he did a deep dive into all of these specific people's political affiliations, or anything like that. He just killed people because he believed that they were sufficiently connected to the Israeli government.
Yes. Yep. That's what he did. So
yes,
why? How does that map on?
There are people who are being killed for their connection to the Israeli government.
Yes. So how does that map on to Ethan Klein?
That maps on because you have a clear motive.
You said, just to be clear, you said pro-genocide, right? Your point was it was a pro-genocide narrative. If you call these people pro-genocide, that's going to get them killed. That's what you were saying. Now you're saying it's a connection to the Israeli government.
I never said calling them pro-genocide will get them killed. I said
we'll make them a potential target for violence.
Where in which being called pro-genocide can get you killed, which is absolutely the case because these people weren't just targeted just because they were in the Israeli government. They were targeted because they believed the Israeli government is pro-genocide. That's the reason why. The connection is that they all believe that you're sufficiently pro-genocide if you support Israel.
If you are willing to be a functionary of the government of Israel.
What?
They believe you're sufficiently pro-genocide if you're willing to be a functionary of the government of Israel, like a diplomat for the government.
No, where was it stated that it was explicitly that it had that was the The only reason that they were targeted was because they worked at that specific
I don't think
place.
that's the
Where
only
was it
reason. I do think the genocide thing is downstream, but I think the connection
Okay, do you
has
think
to be
if there
stronger
do you
than just
think
being
if,
pro-genocide or
yeah,
pro-Israel.
do you genuinely think if that person knew for a fact that those people were working in the Israeli embassy in an antagonistic fashion towards the Israeli colonial project or whatever the fuck they want to call it, do you think he would have targeted them?
No.
Okay, so you agree with me. It is a pro-genocide thing. And he just assumed that because they worked there, they were pro-genocide.
But the direct, just so we're clear, the direct connection, you work for this country that is committing a genocide, that is actually doing ethnic cleansing. I don't believe the genocide part, but ethnic cleansing probably, okay?
That was used as evidence for the real target, which was the pro-genocide. That's my point. It's not because they worked at this. It's because it was enough of a signal to this guy that they were pro-genocide that they would do it. So my argument is that when we're calling people pro-genocide,
right? You are materially supporting them by working for them, right?
No, you don't know that. He doesn't know that. He is assuming.
He doesn't know that. He is assuming. But I'm telling you that working for the Israeli government, helping the Israeli government work is probably to most people a bigger connection than just being like, yeah, I support Israel. Right?
Yeah, and do you think that
by the way, the guy was definitely not.
Do you think that people in Hassan's audience believe that people like Ethan and Ela Klein are aiding the Israeli government through, let's just say, PR? Yes or no?
Possibly, but it's like a.
The answer is absolutely yes. He said as much. I believe he has said as much himself.
I believe everybody in his audience. So this is getting dicey because I don't think political violence is ever the answer. But I don't think that people who are media personalities have ever been laid out as targets by the people in that sphere. Unless you want to count Bad Empanada. But I'm telling you, Noah Samson did a video where he explicitly said, "I'm calling for violence." And who did he name?
Well, sure, but yeah, of course I would include Bad Empanada. He's on there. They signal boost him all the time. He's like their pal, their friend.
Wait, who did Noah Samson name? Because I could have sworn Noah Samson talked about
I'm talking about Bad
weapons
Empanada.
dealers. Sorry, I'm talking about Noah Samson because he did a video where he explicitly called for violence. He did what? Arms dealers in the U.S. He did like their factories.
I think it was
US
infrastructure,
right? Yes.
Yeah, politicians.
So he
Loner
did
Box
explicit calls for violence. Yeah, he did explicit calls for violence.
And so Loner Box,
that's like a guy who's actually going out and calling for violence, and he's not going after like media personalities who support Israel.
What do you mean? In that video, he was talking about media personalities that supported Israel, no?
Sure, but I don't believe he laid them out as a target for violence, right?
Wasn't that the whole point? Is that his argument was that they would be included as well? That the whole apparatus would be included?
I need to go find the clip then, because no, I thought it was
Box,
explicitly
if I remember, laid it out, and he laid it out very deductively.
Weapons dealers and the infrastructure used to provide weapons to Israel. I thought those were the people that he explicitly called for violence against.
I thought there was also another. I thought it was like maybe like politicians, and then it was. But the argument for the basis of the weapons dealers wasn't just material support, and the politician wasn't just material support. It was also like paying support beyond it, like what you call it. I wouldn't say PR, but it was like political support. But either way, nonetheless, because I'm not going to just hold everything up just because over clip. Let's just say that it was exclusively over like military infrastructure and stuff like that. In a time like this, where there are direct calls to violence, you have to, as a content creator, be more careful with your speech. You have to be. Like you are always going to have to be based on this. There has been a spike.
I don't think Hassan has to be more careful than this. I think Hassan has been. I think he's failed to be careful in the past, and I've called him out for that. To me, the Tom Cotton one's the most obvious one, where he's just clearly saying we should kill this guy, right? He's clearly doing that in that Tom Cotton tweet. I don't think he's quite gotten as bad in most other cases. This is not one of those cases. This is a case where people are blowing this up. There's a reason why it took 4 or 5 days for this to come out, by the way, as well. It's obvious when you look at the context of the clip that this is not true, right? That he is not calling for Ela Klein's death. But it comes out 4 or 5 days later, 4 days later.
If you're being charitable to him, sure.
No, I don't think it doesn't require any charity. It requires a blank slate reading of it. You have to be uncharitable to him.
Like I said, I literally showed this to somebody who has no political, like anything. They're just a normie. And they were like, yeah, that sounds like they're putting Ela Klein on the same level as all these other people.
Her former actions, sure.
No, I'm telling you what I spoke to another Homo sapien about. I'm relaying to you what
So,
another
again,
human
did that
entity
Homo
told me.
sapien, just to be clear, did that Homo sapien think that Hassan was calling for Ela Klein to be killed?
Yeah. No. To be clear, they said. Yeah. They said. I'll give you their exact words as I remember them. It sounds like what they're saying is that Ela Klein is the same as these people inside of Gaza on the West Bank.
Okay, that's not what I asked. I said, did the person think
that's
that they were
kinda
calling for
all you
Hassan
need,
Piker?
though, right?
No,
Because
it's
when
not
in
all
the
you
context
need,
of the
because
claim-
the only way it's defensive violence, right? There's a group like literally transgressing on you.
I'm just telling you what a person without any kind of terminally online brain said. This is all I'm doing, and the implication of that, hey, they're the same as this other group, is like, yeah, it sounds like they're saying
terminally online
they're
brain. I
morally
don't
the
even.
same.
I'm just watching the clip, and like I've literally written out the
Yeah, I'm
statements
saying that
as
we're
they've
both
come.
terminally online, and we have
And
biases about this.
I mean, you could call it terminally online, or you could say people with a political understanding who know the situation. If you have no context for Israel-Palestine, if you have no context for Israel-Palestine, you could easily misunderstand this. You might think, by the way, this has happened to everybody. When he says, oh, former Fatah members, former Fatah militants, right? There's Asmongold and Tectone both thought that meant former IDF soldiers. Like Fatah was like a division of the IDF or something. So if you don't have any context on this, you don't know anything about this.
This wasn't an argument about them not knowing a term.
Sure, but I'm telling you that many people interpret it that way.
That's not an argument. That's not my argument. And if anything, that would pertain closer to my argument.
Does your friend know
terminally
Israel-Palestine?
online people are not going to understand this and are going to jump to conclusions.
Does your friend know Israel-Palestine?
Not really, no.
Okay. Does he know what you were taught? Does he know like what Hassan was saying at all? Like, does he have any context for this at all? I'm not talking about being terminally online. I'm talking about literally just.
Yeah, they watched the clip.
Yeah, but do they have the context for the clip? Like, do they know about? Like, I feel like you can't even interpret this clip. I've watched so many people fail to interpret this clip because they don't know anything about Israel-Palestine. Did you tell them that doesn't mean like former military members?
Yes, I answered all of their questions about the various groups that they asked.
Okay, did they ask about Fatah? They asked what that was.
Oh, it wasn't relevant. They knew that they were referring to whatever. You could tell by the in context. Like I think you kind of just have to not be super bright or maybe motivated to think that was referring to a different.
No. For the clip that I'm talking about, there's definitely it's cut so that it sounds like that. But if you're right, I think if you go back and watch the whole thing, it does actually lay out that those would be Palestinian militant groups, militia groups. Okay. Anyway, do we want to keep watching through this? By the way, I'm saying that I think people need some actual evidence that their violence would help. And I think there's just so many people who are pro-Israel that targeting people based on the pro-Israel belief, or even like a pro-Israel, I support Israel in their genocide belief, wouldn't be enough. They're looking for people who have tangible, like who provide tangible material support, and not just in some like voice type way. I believe that is literally like a part of the guy's argument in the manifesto, the shooter's manifesto, right? Is they need to be tangibly a part of it.
Okay. I mean, we don't have any evidence to show that he knew that they were tangibly a part of it, no?
He was following the groups or whatever, like some of these people. I believe was he following the guy, or was he just following the Heritage Center? I can't remember now. We're trying to trace like how this came out. I don't know why we haven't found any of it.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, my argument just comes down to I believe that the caliber.
You've been mindfucked by Destiny into this weird debate, bro logic. It's actually fucking sad. Okay. 09 Ghost, hop in the gourd.
So at the end of the day, my argument is pretty simple. Saying this specific thing, even in context, to his audience, who is specifically weaponized to believe that this woman is pro-genocide, is very dangerous because, especially in the context of the time that we live in, it makes them far more likely. His audience, that is, far more likely to want to or think it's justified to engage in physical action against this person.
Sorry, say that whole thing again. I'm sorry, I was not paying attention for a second.
It is wrong because given the context of how frankly retarded Hassan's audience is, saying something like this has
So,
a very reasonable
there-
interpretation of lowering their opinion of this person to a point where in which somebody might feel justified in taking action, physical action against this person.
One, I would argue that this did not lower their opinion of Hila Klein one iota. Okay, everybody knew that she went on that night raid. That is a constant talking point for everybody in this sphere. Did not lower their opinion of him one iota. Okay. Two, we have no evidence. So you keep saying he's got a retarded audience. We have no evidence of somebody in his audience like going and killing somebody because they support Israel. Right?
But we have evidence of people in his audience sending him skulls. We have evidence of people in his audience.
Where? So, go ahead. Show me the evidence that somebody in Hassan's audience. Do you believe Bad Empanada sent the skulls?
Oh, sorry. To be fair, excuse me. I should have said justifying it. That is fair enough. Justifying it. I consider that pretty much just as
now
bad. If you're saying it's good to send this guy skulls,
justifying it is as bad as sending the skulls.
Yes, 100%. It's when you have a platform, yes, absolutely. If you're like, yeah, it's a good thing, it's funny, somebody else should do that again. I think it is funny that CPS did that and monetize. Isn't Bad Empanada the guy who monetized the CPS shirt?
So I dislike this thing where you have to put this whole group together. You have to put Bad Empanada, all of Hassan's orbiters, Hassan, H3 Stark, and like all of anti-Ethan Twitter together into one group, and then take every bad action done by anybody in that group and apply it to every other person in every other group that's attached in any way. That's that's crazy.
No, all I have to do is just say the people he has on his stream. No, all I have to do is say the people that he has on his stream.
Do you believe that he has significantly platformed Bad Empanada?
Objectively, he has significantly platformed Bad Empanada.
So you're saying by being on his stream, by watching his videos, is what you mean?
No, he was on a stream with him. Like several times, no?
Was it Hassan's stream or was it the Noah Samson stream? I haven't kept up.
I saw the Noah Samson, you're talking about the charity stream, yep, that shit. And then playing his videos on his stream. Yeah, endorsing him verbally on his stream. Yeah, absolutely. And then Noah Samson, who also justified the skulls, was on his stream as well, literally physically sitting next to him. So yeah, he has these people in his house.
Sure. So now he's responsible. So anybody that you've had on your stream or anybody that you platform in anything but the most heated, controversial of ways, you're responsible for all of those opinions, right? You bring somebody into your house, you're responsible for all of their opinions?
No, when you bring those people, after you know these very significant negative things, right? After it has come to your attention, you have these people in your place, and then to continuously shit on these same people that you believe that are in question. Like I would argue that having Noah Samson on and Noah Samson shitting on Ethan and Hila, that is what I'm talking about. It's not that he had Noah Samson on to talk about some charity drive that they were doing and nothing, literally Ethan Klein and shit never got brought up. They were talking about like giving food to homeless people or some shit. That's not what happened. He would have them on and they would literally make fun of Ethan and Hila on the stream, knowing full well that Noah Samson is saying shit like, yeah, the skulls were funny.
I do believe that Noah Samson is 100% endorsed by Hassan. I was not saying he wasn't. I was saying that I don't believe Bad Empanada is endorsed to the same level. Although, probably we're starting to get there. Bad Empanada, I believe, is endorsed for his Israel.
Like, how is he not endorsed at the same level?
Can you tell me?
I'd say the only reason why Bad Empanada didn't sit next to Hassan is because that guy's like on the run or some shit.
When he's talking about Bad Empanada, can you tell me where he's endorsed him, where he said positive things? Like, what are the positive things he said?
I would have to get a clip, but yeah, he said like, I think I remember at one point him saying like, while Bad Empanada is unhinged sometimes and stuff like that, I think his like heart is in a good place, or he goes after the pro-genocidal maniacs or something like that. Yeah, there was a clip.
I believe he said his Israel-Palestine video essays are well done and well researched. I disavow anything he does on Twitter or anything outside of that, but his videos are good, right? But hold on. That's going to be my understanding as of like 4 months ago. I've not followed this stuff very much recently. So it's possible 4 to 5 months, past 4 or 5 months, he might have said something more.
Okay, yeah. Without like clip farming or clip hunting, sorry, we would need to, I guess we can agree to disagree on that. Somebody sent me the Noah Samson clip and I'm curious.
Noah Samson's a totally degenerate loser. Fuck that guy.
Let me take a look.
Oh, total piece of shit.
The politician. Oh, no, he said the propagandists. He said the propagandists, the politicians, the weapons companies. So, and he objectively calls Destiny, for instance, a propagandist. He calls
Sure. If he said the propagandist, then I would say
for every single content creator.
Sure, I would say if he said propagandist, then I would say he's targeting content creators 100%.
Here, I will link it to you. I'm sure you.
I believe you 100%. Yeah, I believe you 100%.
Yeah. He said the propagandist.
I said because I could have sworn he said the content
Hassan
creators
is
and the
willing
web
to have on people on his program after they had a controversy directly calling for violence against other streamers.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the type of audience he's cultivating. And so
we
we have a moment
real quick. Or I'll pull it up.
Huh?
You sent it to me, I'll pull it up. Did you throw it in the general chat?
Oh, shit.
You threw it in the chat?
No. Do you want me to throw it in Gen, or I can just DM it to you?
Do I want you to you DM it or throw it in Gen chat, either one. Doesn't matter.
Okay, my bad. Here's the DM. I didn't.
Okay, so just I have to walk this argument all the way back before we start watching this. We will start watching it, but I have to start walking the argument all the way back. So because he's platformed Noah Samson, who has called for violence towards propagandists and these people, and even though he's never explicitly avowed violence, and I believe he said political violence based on speech is not valid. No, like I believe he disavows political violence. I believe Hassan explicitly disavows political violence, right?
You don't think he has ever explicitly disavowed political violence against people he considers to be pro-genocide?
Okay. Ogre Boy, you got a clip showing otherwise, that would be fine. But I'm saying, so basically, if he has not made it clear that he opposes political violence against people, I'm trying to steal Manu, by the way. If he's not made it clear that he opposes political violence, and he platforms, as in he has Noah Samson on his show, who has called for political violence in that video, then when he also says, Ela Klein went on this night raid, then he is, because his audience hates Ela Klein, he's lowered her reputation really significantly. She is now going to fall from outside of that range of politically viable for political violence into the range for viable for political violence. And even though he isn't trying to do that, he's unknowingly doing that because his audience believes, and he's lowered his opinion, the opinion of the audience enough that they will now see her as a target for political violence.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay. So if we apply that same standard,
he doesn't condemn political. He does not condemn political violence that comes from his friends. I've never seen him condemn Noah Samson for saying this. I've never seen him do that.
I haven't seen it. I don't know, but I don't know if he's aware that Noah Samson said it.
Yeah, right? Yes, he is. No, let's stop playing games. He is. There is so many people. I promise you that somebody either
you think by virtue of like you probably think he follows Lonerbox enough that like he would see Lonerbox's denial of this.
If he didn't bring it up on stream, it's because he's ignoring it maliciously.
Sure.
Okay, that's the only reason why. You cannot be that big and not hear of something like this.
I think you definitely could, but it's
you
like
cannot.
I don't need to assume that. We can assume not.
You're telling me that there is nobody who's adding him with this. There's nobody who's mentioning this in the chat. There's nothing. There's nobody. He's just insulated from this entire controversy surrounding. I think Noah's like one of his closest content creator friends.
Yeah, I think he's friends with Noah Samson. I honestly, if you like ask me for sure, I don't know that he disavowed anyway. Like even if it was like brought up on stream, I don't know if he disavowed.
Definitely wouldn't. He would just say that it's like out of context or something like that. Okay, so in that context of somebody who does not disavow political violence directly called towards people who are quote propagandists, when he includes propagandists as like Twitch streamers, he's not disavowing any of these things. He's platforming these people, signal boosting them, saying that they're good representations of that explicit thing that they're calling to violence for Israel-Palestine, right? And he's also signal boosting people who are engaged in the types of shit that Bad Empanada is engaged in. And then he makes this claim about Ela Klein, and even in the context that he is, yes, I believe that is harmful because explicitly to his audience, that is going to make them more likely to view it as, maybe it's not a bad idea if somebody were to smack that chick.
So would you say that because of this, Hassan supports violence? He supports political violence?
Yeah, in his content, absolutely. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%.
So I'd say everybody, so would you say that, hold on, I'm going to text you an argument. So you think that follows pretty easily, right? That you would say this is pretty accurate?
I would add an extension, that action, not necessarily as a human. I don't think that you have to. So for instance, if Hassan disavowed Noah Samson's thing here and said that's not cool and like told him explicitly, like, that's not a good thing.
if Hasan if he went live tomorrow and said, "Oh, I heard Noah like call for violence in this video," I totally disavow political violence. You totally say, "Okay, now we have no."
In a way that is convincing. Yeah, I would say that's justified. Yeah.
What would it take to be convinced?
For Hasan on this, nothing.
I want
Because I think he believes in it.
scale.
I think he believes in it.
Okay.
Are you asking me to be convinced, or for it to be convincing?
So there is no. Wait, how does that not
because
come
I
back?
think that is Hasan's opinion. I don't think he cares about political violence against these people. I don't think he disavows it. I believe that's his opinion.
Okay. The only
for
time
me to
I've
believe
ever
that
heard
you would
Hasan
need to
disavow
never
anyone
talk
on
to
his side
Bada Panada
is
again,
with
shit on
the
Bada
CPS
Panada,
call.
never talk to Noah Sampson again, shit on Noah Sampson, and like make up with Ethan Klein. He would need to entirely change his character.
I think if I saw any evidence that the people criticizing Hasan followed any of these moral standards, I think you would. But if I saw any evidence that any of these people followed
here's
these
the
moral
reason why.
standards, I would feel a lot better about this.
Because the reason why people are upset with Hasan is because he condones political violence. The whole basis is that he's okay, my Discord, not yours, with Hamas killing and raping people, and it refuses to ever condemn them because he views the group that they reside in or the group themselves as the victim.
Do we have to walk this down? Where does Hasan condone rape as a form of resistance?
Oh, when he refused to condemn.
You're going to walk that back, right? Yeah. So it's not. Wait, he didn't. Wait, but he condemned something specific.
No, he didn't.
Right?
He did.
He condemned violence against civilians.
Hamas's rapes on October 7th.
He condemned violence against civilians. Is rape not a form of violence against civilians?
Okay, hold on. If we're of the opinion that Hasan, are you just saying he did once, or are you saying this is the merit of his opinion? Because in the discussion with Ethan explicitly brought up several different instances in which people were raped.
He has said, watched him say, I believe I watched him say it on Piers Morgan. Yes,
okay, no. I'm not talking about a single statement. I'm talking about his coverage.
I'll walk this down for everybody, okay? Because I think it's a crazy thing to say that Hasan supports rape. I think that's fucking nuts, okay? Hasan
then why didn't he
will
condemn
not,
it?
because of his
Ethan
political position, sufficiently condemn the actions of Hamas. Yes, but that is not supporting, right? That is a different thing.
Wait, no. When you say things like Palestinian resistance groups are justified in attacking the Israelis, and then they go, yeah, but like not raping the civilians or killing the civilians, right? And then your response is, I can't condemn Hamas. I can't do that. So instead, I'm just going to obfuscate for multiple hours.
Do we have a
you think that is you think that is like, what do you think that is?
Do you have that clip? Does that clip exist?
Yeah, look at the entire Ethan. Wait, can you give me through the entire Ethan Klein debate where he conceded Hamas was a terrorist organization that warranted significant scrutiny, that Houthis were a terrorist organization that warranted significant scrutiny?
You're totally moving the goalposts. I'm asking you for where Hasan said that attacks on civilians.
Is very simple.
That when they said rapes and murders of civilians are bad, and he said, "Well, I refuse to condemn Hamas." I want that quote that you just said he said.
I never said he quote said that he what? No, what I'm saying is that he did refuse to condemn Hamas over their rapes on October 7th during that debate. I believe he even refused to recognize them.
I need that because I could have sworn I didn't watch the whole thing, right? So I could have sworn that in the Piers Morgan debate he did. He basically said, "Yeah, obviously I don't think attacks against civilians are good. Obviously I don't want violence against civilians." I could have sworn he said that.
Bro, in the NPR interview, he said he's a sock dem. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is his coverage.
So we can't use his statements
when he makes arguments, when he's talking to people and he's making arguments.
I'll totally agree with you that he's willing to minimize all of Hamas's crimes. Absolutely,
he lies about his positions. And when you ask meets grass, when a debate comes and time comes, do you condemn Hamas for these rapes? He goes, well, blah, 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 and he moves the goalposts and shifts things around. The Ethan Klein debate was perfect to illustrate this. He never explicitly said, yes, I condemn these rapes that happened on October 7th. He never said this.
Okay, he might not have ever said that. I agree with you. And I agree, he absolutely downplays the evidence that exists for sexual violence happening on October 7th. I totally agree with that. What I'm saying is, I don't think he specifically ever said, this is the only point I disagreed on you, but you said Hasan supports Hamas raping civilians. And I'm like, no, I don't think he ever would have said that.
I believe in a so this is maybe where we're going to disagree. I think in a principal discussion with your former co-host, where the principal distinction is whether or not you support Hamas, because they believe you support terrorist organizations, when they bring up to you real material instances of them raping civilians, and then you cannot concede that yes, the rapes did happen, that is support.
Okay, I think, the way I look at it is, he shouldn't have to condemn Hamas. He should be able to say, like, these actions are evil, and I condemn anybody who does them, right?
What?
So what he shouldn't be expected to do is to say, I condemn this group that I see as like absolutely necessary to prevent like the extinction of the Palestinians, that they are violently resisting a genocide. I don't think he should have to say, I condemn that group wholesale. He should have to say, I condemn these actions that have happened. I condemn these rapes. I condemn the killings of civilians.
I agree, and he wasn't able to do that.
Okay. I need to see where.
Wait,
So somebody's saying he's never denied rapes occurring. He only denied systemic/mass rape. Now, that's not true necessarily, Kilo, because I think that he specifically, there's some argument about Hezbollah raping people, and he goes, what rapes did Hezbollah do? Bro, what rapes did Hamas do? But that's like,
yeah, exactly,
in the moment kind of shit, where I'm like, okay,
well, no,
that's not
even
him laying out his
in the
positions.
debate with Ethan literally brought up articles and a woman testifying that of her experience with Hamas, and then he explicitly said, like, we don't what was it, like, we don't have something like, we don't have like any evidence or like videos or anything like that of these things happening. And then when presented with it by Ethan, he literally refused to accept it in front of him, literally in front of him. He refused to accept it.
Okay, let's go through that section, I guess. I'm fine with him refusing to accept certain things, right? So what I think he did, I don't remember this section. What I think his position would be was there's no evidence of mass or systemic rape, right? That would be his argument, and that he would agree that rapes happened. So he would agree that rapes happened. I've seen him make this point that he agrees rapes happened. Right? Do you disagree with me that he has agreed rapes happened on October 7th?
He said it. I don't think that is a part of his coverage. He
Never mind.
seems
There's
to
no
only
point in
say
having
it
this
very
conversation then.
specific.
If the response is going to be he said it, but I don't believe he believes it, then I don't know why do we even have the conversation.
Whether or not I believe that he believes it, it's that he's inconsistent with his mentioning of it. That's the point. He'll say it in only very specific circumstances, like maybe once, but the overwhelming bastion of his coverage is to never talk about it ever, and including in the moments that you brought up, like, what rapes did Hamas do?
I know all of the clips. I'm telling you that, like, when you say something's outside of my understanding of the clips that I've watched, right? Then I'm going to go, well, I don't know if he said that. But what you said is he's like pro-Hamas raping Israeli civilians. And I'm like, no, I don't believe that.
So in the Ethan Klein debate, he said that there's nobody who testified. There's none of these different things, the common talking point. And then when Ethan Klein sent him several bits of evidence showing that actually did happen, he just refused to recognize it.
Okay,
is that support?
He refused to recognize that because of like what's going on in the debate where Ethan's going, you support this. You support people getting raped.
No, I believe, if I remember correctly, the reason why he brought it up is because he's like, Hassan said, yeah, I haven't seen evidence, or like nobody's come forward to like testify. And then he brought up clips of this happening. He's like, and then he said something like, so this person didn't testify, or something to that effect. Yeah, I think it was probably quippy, but at the end of the day, you have to concede that unless you're supporting the rapes, in my opinion. That's just how it works. You can't, in front of 100,000 people, I think that's how many people were watching on each stream. You can't, in front of 100,000 people, just go like, no, I'm not going to recognize the evidence that's right in front of me, like articles and stuff like that showing it. You can't do that. Otherwise, you support it. Like, that's pretty simple. When that's the principal distinction. Do you support or do you not support this terrorist organization? I believe you do. Here is evidence of a thing that you say this terrorist organization does not do, and you refuse to recognize it. I'd say you're supporting them. Pretty simple syllogism.
Let's go watch the clip. Let's get the clip, because from what I understand, he has said that no rapes happen in captivity. I think this person was arguing that somebody they knew was raped in captivity, right? They're testifying to this, right?
I don't remember the specifics, but perhaps.
Okay. When testifying, he previously covered on stream, and he was saying he knew about that case, but that case was in captivity, and the argument was that Ethan was proving October 7th's essays.
Also, just to be clear,
Wait,
the UN report
hold
that
on.
constantly gets.
I thought Hassan said that there were no rapes in captivity, or that. Although I thought he said there was one.
I believe he said there's one. Whenever he gets referenced, he always says there's only ever been one confirmed rape in captivity. That is what he consistently says.
Okay.
There's only one confirmed rape to have happened in captivity,
testimony?
which obviously implies that there is no other confirmed rapes, even singular confirmed rapes, like at all.
No, I said I'm
which is just
listening to you.
Not the case.
Don't worry. I
Sure.
was just grabbing another soda. Go ahead.
All right, let's go.
On the pail.
Is that a?
There is one instance.
Did you put a
in
Hamas
captivity?
headband on me?
Is Hassan worth this level of defense? I'm just going through and showing like this is what I think I remember, right? And if I'm wrong, I'm fine with being wrong.
Sure did.
Hold on. I missed this.
Is that a? There.
Hassan does suck. Yes, Hassan sucks. I'm sitting here like, I just think it's probably bad that we have a bunch of people online explicitly lying about Hassan. That's the only point I'm making here. If you hear anything else, I'm sorry. Right? I'm tired of people getting lied about. I'm tired of the lies. I just want the lies to stop, okay? We have a bunch of lies going out, okay? Calling for someone to attack Hila because she served in the military over a decade ago. We disagree with this as well, right? That he did not say this. Hassan did not say that.
I don't believe that I don't believe he is making an explicit call for it. I believe that there is an implicit
You don't even believe that Hassan is implicitly calling for it. You believe that Hassan's audience might interpret it that way.
I'm saying that the implication of his words is that it would be justified. That is what I believe he is saying.
The implication of his words is it might be justified, but you don't think that. You think that people could misunderstand him. Just to be clear, you already agreed with me that there is nothing there.
Here's a different way to say
that's not an implication. An implication is your intent.
It is reasonably interpretable from his words that it would be justified to attack Hila Klein.
It's reasonably interpretable by. Okay, but you don't believe that he is implying that or that he is saying that outright, right?
My reading says no, but it is within the scope of human beings online that would be reasonable in their reading of it that they could take that away, yes, and therefore it should have never been said. Just because I can read or I can listen to this and be charitable to this and understand what I believe his intent to be doesn't mean that his entire audience is going to. And in fact, I would argue his entire audience is specifically tailored to take this in a way that says, if Hila Klein, she gets smacked. Then
what percentage of Ethan's audience, of Hassan's audience, do you think didn't know that Hila Klein went on those night raids?
I just heard not yours. I think. I don't know. Very low.
Very low. Okay. So what do you think is changing here?
What's changing
people
is
who engage in violence in the West Bank are valid military targets.
It's her moral equivalency and her moral proximity to the people who are actively engaged in militant action in the West Bank and in Gaza right now.
They all knew that already, right?
No, he's closing the gap on their moral proximity all the time. And that's the point, is he's significantly closing the gap in this instance.
He's closing the gap.
Yep.
What does that mean? He's closing the gap between
so
the actual people invading the West Bank now
and target that is justified and good to kill is and Hila Klein is shrinking in his audience's perception.
Okay. Yeah.
He's just pushing his audience closer and closer to saying, like, if somebody killed Hila Klein, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, or it would potentially even be good. But I
don't think he's pushing his audience closer to that. I think his whole audience. I think his whole audience that's baked in already. This whole thing is like there. I think it's already baked in with them. I think that's why in any context they would say Hitler, Hila, whatever the fuck, genocidal Hila, all of these things, right? That's my argument.
No, that's ridiculous. Because then your argument would be it couldn't get worse.
I don't know if their opinion of Hila Klein could get worse. I don't think it was made worse.
You have to take that back. That's one of the most retarded things I've ever heard in my life.
I don't think their opinion could possibly be made worse by reference to the night raids. I don't think so.
By reference to that, you have to take that back. You can't believe that.
By referencing her night raids? I think everybody there already knows about her night raids. It's like a total meme.
Said tomorrow, Hila Klein deserves to be killed because she went on those night raids. You would say that, their opinion of her isn't going to be lowered, and there's no consequence to this.
Oh, sure. If he was saying she should be killed. Yeah. Okay. I see.
Okay, so their opinion of her can be lowered, and it's just we're arguing whether or not.
I mean,
this
no.
That's
Sorry,
the
that
only
changes
argument.
something else, right? That's not their opinion of her wouldn't go lower. Their opinion of what could be done to people with her, like with that level of opinion, would change, right? It would be like how you think you can deal with people that you have this opinion of changes, right? That's what's changing there.
Yeah, but their opinion of her would change.
What has changed? Is it their opinion of her or what you can do to people who you have that opinion of? Why? What new information do they have about Ela Klein?
Wait.
Just tell me that. What new information do they have about Ela Klein? Can you answer the question? What new information do they have about Ela Klein?
You're saying there's a difference between people's changing opinion of her versus people's changing opinion of what they could do to her?
Based on that opinion, yes. That they already have all of those facts baked into their opinion, right?
Come on, man.
Wait, hold on. Do you not think those are different?
So just to be clear, you think that it is the same exact moral opinion if I say that if somebody in Hassan's audience goes from, I actually love Ela Klein, she's the best person on planet Earth. In fact, she's the second coming of Christ, to, hey, actually, I think Ela Klein deserves to die. That is not a change of opinion. That's a change of the underlying your opinion of the underlying
people
facts
that are like that
influence your opinion.
You think there are a significant number of... So what underlying fact has changed that influences their opinion? Thank you. Go.
I don't think any facts did change.
You just said that. That was your argument.
No, I'm saying that that's what your argument is.
I'm saying there is no fact that's changing. They're saying, Hassan is saying, somebody who went on these night raids, that's your principle. What's changing is your principle on when political violence is appropriate, not your opinion on Ela Klein. Do you understand what I'm saying?
This is literally just base semantics. I really don't know why you're making this argument. My argument is, hey, Hassan's audience's opinion of Ela Klein can lower, and your argument is no.
Sorry,
it can't.
Not based on a fact they all already have.
That is ridiculous because their opinion of her is influenced based on their opinions of those facts. No?
Yes, it would be. Do you think anybody's understanding of the night raids has changed?
Therefore, logically, it is possible for them to change their opinion of her and those facts not change. Correct?
Maybe if they'd heard, so here would be an example of this. If they'd heard about some more violence that had been done by like these night raids, then yes. But I don't hear Hassan saying that.
No, all they have to hear is that, hey, if you previously went on these night raids, you are justified as a valid target.
But that's not what he's saying. We have already agreed that's not what he's saying. I don't think there's any reasonable interpretation where you could think he's saying this.
We can agree, you and me, that he isn't saying this, while also agreeing, or we don't agree, while also making the statement that people listening to this message can take away the opinion that she is on the same moral footing as the people who are currently engaged in it, or a similar moral footing.
And literally everything before that clip, as we've already agreed, is talking about your need to be in these places, engaging in this actively.
Just to be clear, you think it's ridiculous for me to believe that Hassan's audience is primed and ready to go to believe that somebody who he's referred to as a propagandist, a genocidal propagandist, would be available for or morally justified in being a target of violence.
Okay, do I have evidence of this?
One of his close friends on stream that he refuses to condemn believes that propagandists who are pro-Israel
he won't condemn one of his friends
violence.
who has called for that violence. Yes, and he hasn't condemned that actively.
And you think it's ridiculous for me to believe that there's people in his audience that are primed to view Ela Klein as a propagandist who is justified for violence? You believe
based on
ridiculous.
That statement, yes. I believe anybody who's already there, who's already a Noah Samson fan, who's already primed in this way, would already know that she's gone on these night raids and would either already think that or this wouldn't change their opinion significantly.
Because I don't, how are you not able to conceptualize this? It's not whether or not they know that he went on the night raids. It's whether or not they believe that having previously been on the night raids warrants X treatment. And his argument is that X treatment is getting closer and closer to active military members.
So you think unintentionally he's convinced a bunch of people that all former active military members of the Israeli government who have gone on any raid into the West Bank or the Gaza Strip are culpable and can be targeted now? You think he's convinced a significant portion of his audience of this?
What, from
You
the
have to say
statement?
yes to that.
No, I
You have
don't.
to say yes to that.
How-
Yes,
how
you
the
have
fuck
to.
do
That
you
has to be your
even
opinion. That's what you've been
No, I
arguing the whole
don't.
time.
Explain how I would have to say yes to this. All I'm stating is that it is reasonably interpretable that that would be a consequence of it. That's it. You understand that me and you could call for somebody to die
We're
in this
disagreeing
call.
on what's reasonably interpretable.
Excuse me. You understand me and you could call for somebody to be killed right now on this stream. And at the end of the day, if nobody in our audience cared to take us up on it, that wouldn't change
Sure,
that
but you can't
it was
show an
reasonably
example of
interpretable
somebody
that
in
it
this
could
audience
be
committing
that
that
somebody
level of
would.
violence.
And that is my
right?
argument. My argument has nothing to do with actually whether or not somebody will do it. Right? That's not my argument. It's whether or not it's reasonably interpretable that people would justify violence against them. And it 100% is.
I totally disagree on this. And I think this framing is like totally broken. Right?
It's
I
not
think
broken,
there's no
Brady. It's
evidence that
very
somebody in
basic.
Hassan's
Hey.
audience has done violence, right? I think there's no evidence of that. I don't even think there's evidence that they have a propensity for violence. Okay?
I mean, I think that's ridiculous when his friend literally is justifying political violence against like everybody.
Okay. I'm loving that. So no, I don't want to go to the topic that I sent you the DM about, but fuck me.
Well, no, because it's going to be different because, again, it's about specifically condemning this specific action. And I would stand on that no matter what. It's about condemning this specific thing. He can have Noah Sampson on as long as he says, hey, bro, it's very convincing. Hey, bro, that shit cannot fly. If you say shit like that, no, you're fucking, I'm going to fucking make fun of you. I'm going to do all this different shit. I'm going to say how retarded you are. You cannot say shit like that. I'm not going to let that slide. If he did that shit when he had him on, then we're chill. But he doesn't. In fact, he ignores it.
Okay. So he's totally culpable for that opinion. And his audience.
No, not
would also,
I hate this extreme that you keep doing. I'm not saying that Hassan might as well have done it. What I'm saying is that there's a clear precedent in Hassan's community that it is okay to justify political violence against people who are pro-genocide. Do you disagree with that?
Yes.
There's a clear precedent.
There's a clear hold on. There's a clear precedent, as in there's one case of somebody there saying that political violence would be okay. Like that is the precedent.
His friend he has on stream, bro. What?
Yes.
His literal
I'm
friend
asking you about levels. So you said
in
precedent.
his
Sorry, I was
house.
going to disagree if it was broad. I was just going to disagree on whether or not it was broad. I think there are a lot of people who watch these streams and have no inkling towards political violence, that do not believe political violence is justified. And I was going to say I would need evidence that they actually support this. If you want me to say yes, okay, I do think that they support political violence.
Even if you support political violence against people who support who are randomly pro-Israel because they just call anybody pro-Israel they want, right? Whoever is pro-genocide, that political violence against them is justified and even fine enough to be able to allow you to get on his stream without a word of condemnation and have him cherish you in your opinion on Israel-Palestine.
I think the opinion of Israel-Palestine is a little disconnected, but I think
no, it's a part of it.
He should be absolutely disavowing like Noah Sampson's calls to violence, 100%. But
his opinions on Israel-Palestine is a part of the reason why he's making these calls to violence.
Sure. But what do you hold on. What do you disagree on? What do you disagree on?
What do you think Hassan's
hold on.
audience
No. Here's a fantastic.
Think?
No. There's a big disconnect. Okay, you can have an opinion on the state of Israel-Palestine and have a different opinion entirely on what the reaction to that should be. Right? Those are totally distinct. We'd agree on that. Yes.
And wait, you can have an opinion on Israel-Palestine and have an opinion on how it should be handled.
Description versus prescription.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so descriptively, what does Hassan disagree with Noah Sampson on? It's only on the prescriptive side where he disagrees with him, right? If he doesn't want political violence. So what I'm saying is he can agree with the descriptions that they give of the situation in Gaza, right? But their prescriptions are different. And I've seen no evidence that Hassan's prescription is violence for people. For like these people, right? And the evidence you have is saying, well, actually, because he agrees with the description for Noah Sampson and Badam Panada, he agrees with their prescription.
What about him not condemning the kidnappings of the people on the boats?
Yeah, that's fucking retarded. I absolutely hate that.
Wait,
that's
no,
easily
that's
his worst
not
part of that
fucking
entire
retarded.
debate.
That literally
that's
does away
absolutely
with
his
what
worst
you
part of
just
the
said,
debate.
no? Wait, just to be clear, that does away with what
okay,
you
sorry.
just said, no?
Political violence. No. But political violence in this part of the world. You don't have the ability to influence
Wait, do
Israel
you think
in any way.
Hassan would say that if America sent boats to Israel, that it's aren't there American boats that have been stopped by the Houthis?
Stopped? I don't know. I don't think so. Definitely not American Navy ships. They've been shot at.
Let's just assume a hypothetical. And you're saying Hassan would condemn the Houthis stopping an American vessel to Israel?
No. This is probably the best example that you have, and this is one that I disagreed with. I don't know if you remember that deer guy, the deer avatar who came out and argued. You remember that guy? That is like I don't know how you can get away with not just disavowing. To me, you don't even have to disavow the Houthis, right? You just disavow them capturing the civilians. Yeah, that's absolutely disgusting.
I don't know a deer guy. I don't know who this is. I don't know what that is.
But like, it was some guy. It was some dude who was arguing that you're justified in capturing those people. We both argued with the same guy. Do you remember this?
Oh, I think
he's like a crazy dude. Yeah, he's like out of his mind.
Yeah, but no, the issue is that guy came from the same web of thought or thinking that Hassan is, where it's justified no matter what, as long as it's anti or it's pro resistance, right?
Yeah.
This is literally what I said immediately after Hassan made the argument that it's okay, or well, he didn't contend the argument, he didn't push back. Or make an argument against the kidnapping.
This is probably, in my opinion, the best example of this. Yes, I think this is the best example of this.
Okay, but no, that is the argument. If it's okay and justified to kidnap civilians for these things, if you have your friend who's coming on stream who says that political violence against fucking content creators who he labels as propagandists, which is all of them.
I don't think. This Noah Samsen thing doesn't connect to me whatsoever. But if you want to make it from the argument that he refused to disavow the Houthis' actions in terms of capturing civilians, I absolutely make it about that, and I totally cook with that.
Noah Samsen has a good opinion on Israel-Palestine, and a part of Noah Samsen's opinion on Israel-Palestine is that all of these different people.
Can you agree with somebody's descriptive statements without agreeing with their prescriptions? Can you agree with their descriptions without agreeing with their prescriptions?
Let me ask you a separate question. It was what I was going to ask earlier. What do you think people inside of Hassan's audience believe after they see somebody like Noah Samsen make that statement and then get consistent praise from Hassan and even getting invited to his house? What do you think their opinion is on political violence after that?
I don't know if they connect that. Do you think that their thoughts are, well, the thing I know Noah Samsen for is that he offers to kill people, or he's encouraging us to kill people. So Hassan having him over, that means Hassan wants to kill people. You think there's a lot of people who have that opinion?
I promise you there's a fair number of people who know that Noah Samsen made either that claim or claims similar to that. And they see him getting put up there, they just think, yeah, I mean, this is good resistance. This is good Palestinian resistance. Absolutely. 100%. And even beyond that, you see Bad Empanada saying that the CPS calls were fucking based. You see Bad Empanada talking about the fucking skulls being funny. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Did Bad Empanada, was he not the one who made the shirts making fun of the situation? Or was it somebody else? Okay,
no, that's
so
absolutely.
When you see somebody like that making shirts and laughing at literally harassing this dude's kids, and then another person who is fucking pro political violence, when you see all of this happen on his stream, and then you see him in no real measure condemning the kidnapping of civilians or the raping of the people on October 7th.
What's Hassan's position on the CPS calls?
What do you think their opinion is?
Can you tell me what Hassan's position on the CPS calls is?
Huh?
Can you tell me what Hassan's position on the CPS call is?
I've heard him say something like oh that's not cool. No, don't do that.
Totally disavowed it. Said that's insane. Ethan's a good dad. Don't fuck with him. That's fucking crazy, right?
Yeah, because he frankly, if he actually believed that, why hasn't he condemned Bad Empanada for doing it?
I would just say that when he does actually condemn things, right? Everybody's still going to attribute all of these things to him anyway, like you just did. You just assume all of those opinions. You just
No. The reason why is because
there is no way for him to get out of it.
Hold on. No.
You literally
because
have
you're
said on
allowing
this
him to be
call
snake.
that
No,
there's
you're-
nothing
you're
Hassan
allowing
could
him
do to
be
change your
snake.
opinion of
You're
him.
allowing him to be a rat. That's the reason why. Is Hassan a
You've already said on this
Socdem?
call that there's
Wait,
nothing Hassan could
excuse
do
me.
that would change your opinion of him.
Is-
Why does he have to start going after the people who are actually attacking the people who are unhinged towards him?
Ask a couple of questions and I answered. Is Hassan a socialist, like he says, or is Hassan a Socdem, like he says? Which one? He says he's both. Which one is he?
Are those mutually exclusive? Is Socdem not just
they are.
like a category
Socdem is
of socialist?
Socdem is not a socialist. Socdem is not a socialist.
Socdem is not a subcategory of socialism.
No, it is not.
What does the SOC stand for?
As a social democrat.
Oh, okay. All right. I think Hassan's beliefs are, for me, difficult to determine. I'd lean towards socialist, though.
Okay, because when he's on NPR and he's like, yeah, I'm just like a liberal Socdem, like whatever guy who just believes in healthcare. And then on his stream, he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm a socialist, or even plays with communism. You understand in one of those situations, he's lying, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so we've established, hold on. You can't just yap that. We've established he lies in moments to make himself look better, correct?
Who doesn't? Who doesn't change their opinions like this?
Can you
Who
give me a
doesn't
moment
change
I
their
lied
opinions?
to like look better?
Who doesn't?
About my
Okay,
underlying
I'm asking
political
you,
opinions?
I'm
Can you ever
asking you.
give me a
I'm
moment I
asking
have?
you that if you think you're somewhere between socialist and Socdem, and you're not really that well read, if you say socialist in the place where you're closer to socialist,
No
and Socdem in the place where you're closer to
shot. No
Socdem,
shot.
is that not something people do?
You understand that literally on his stream he is shit on Socdems, right?
You cut out. Liberals are people
On
that I
his
think
stream,
he
he
would
is shit on Socdems. On his stream, he has done it.
So if
I
he's
believe this was
shitting on
back-
Socdems and then going on NPR and calling himself a Socdem, I'd be like, oh yeah, he's fucking retarded.
No, it's not
Do I think that
retarded. It's a
can't- do I
malicious
think-
lie.
Hold on.
It's a
Do I think
malicious
that
lie.
can't be trusted?
It's a malicious
Sorry,
lie.
that's a high level political position. Do I think that means that when he states his opinion on an event that he's always lying? No.
I never said when he states his opinion on things, he's always lying. What I'm saying is, I'm just building a very simple
Then what are you
character
saying?
assessment. It's that in
he does
moments,
lie.
he will lie about his political opinions in order to benefit him and then take every single action in the opposite. So he says things like, oh yeah, don't call CPS. But then he has on the principal CPS endorser on his stream consistently who's selling merch about the fucking CPS call. Yes. So he doesn't care about the CPS call. That is my argument.
Bad Empanada? And just, can we confirm, has Bad Empanada been on Hassan's stream?
I don't know. I don't know if he's been on his stream. I mean to say he does streams with him and endorses him.
Do you see that, like, my basic thing here is I just try to figure out what's actually true about Hassan, and you say all of these things, and I have to slowly, like, walk back these things for you, right? But you're totally fine saying all of these things. You said it now like three times. I actually don't know if Bad Empanada was on the stream, but you're just going off about it.
I haven't said a single lie. You could say I misspoke, but I haven't said a single lie.
You misspoke 3 times in a row in the exact same way?
Yeah, about Bad Empanada shit. Yeah, no, I don't think that is an insane misspeak to say that Bad Empanada was on a stream versus he was on a stream voluntarily with Bad Empanada signal boosting him, and he has signal boosted Bad Empanada on his stream, and he has played multiple Bad Empanada videos on his stream. I don't think that like distinction is like super
without
huge.
criticizing them for some of their extreme opinions. Do you think that's you endorsing them? You endorse that opinion entirely?
Say again?
So you think if you go on some other creator's stream, right, and they have really negative opinions out there all over the world, you think that actually when you do that, you're endorsing them. You're endorsing their opinions, their crazy opinions.
No, what I would say is when you have somebody on your stream who has really negative opinions that you've been
on your stream. Hold on, not on your stream, not on your stream.
Yeah, not even you're on the stream. Well, no, I mean he's endorsing them on his stream. When people are brought up with like if somebody is on my stream or I endorse them on my stream and somebody brings up some kind of behavior that they have done, some actions that they have done. If I refuse to condemn them for those actions when the evidence has been presented before me, then yeah, I am endorsing or co-signing on that not being a big deal or not being worthy of note. Yeah, 100%. You can't get linked to a clip showing like, oh yeah, hey, here's this guy doing this horrible thing that you claim to care about.
Wait, did he get linked the clip while the guy was on the stream? Or are we just going back to knowing?
No, I don't. I imagine you would instantly get banned if you tried to do that, which is further evidence for my argument. If you want to try, I can guarantee you'll instantly get banned.
So you think if you sent Hasan a clip of Bad Empanada saying something unhinged, you get instantly banned?
100%, without a doubt, yeah.
Okay.
Without a doubt. Because even if it was in context, he'd say it's out of context, or I don't care, you're an H3 fucking fan, or you like Destiny. And he just banned you. 100%.
Okay. All right.
Can you give me a time where in which he has looked at a clip critically of one of his friends and in any moment, like ever?
A clip critically. I don't know what's been linked to him, and no, I can't tell you. I don't watch enough of him. I haven't seen it. I do think he covers for his friends as an instinct, yes. But I don't know if him and Bad Empanada are, like, technically friends.
He's 100%.
Okay.
You think he just has random people that he endorses and watches his videos of and then says that, like, they make very good videos? Do you think he just does that randomly?
No.
Okay. I would 100% call them friends. He doesn't do this with, like, random
Hasan said he'd never platformed Bad Empanada until Bad Empanada started doing terrible shit to Ethan. That's not true. I think he actually watched some of his Israel-Palestine stuff before platforming any of the Ethan stuff, right? And he started doing it because he liked his video essays, and he didn't want to. And he explicitly said, I'm just responding to this chat, and he explicitly said, I can condone his Israel essays and nothing else about him. Now, is there a reason that after a year and a half of having this drama cycle with Ethan, that he might actually start going and re-platforming some of Bad Empanada's shit, where he feels like Ethan's now basically calling me, Ethan's now basically calling me a pedophile? Okay, yeah, I'll go with some of these other things. Yeah, I'll run with some of the Bad Empanada stuff. Yeah, I understand why people would start moving positions on that. I'm empathetic to it, at least.
Wait, didn't I don't even know anything about the alleged pedophile thing, but didn't that only happen, like, yesterday?
It did. I'm saying that, like, the places it has gone to, obviously, there are a lot of people talking shit about Hasan, right? People that Ethan platforms. Let's go with Dan Saltman, yeah? Literally, we got the redact button on Ethan's shit.
But, I mean, I would say most of what Dan Saltman
it is just consistently escalating back and forth, right? Do you disagree that it's, like, consistently escalating back and forth?
Yeah, but, like, one of the sides is way more consistently correct and based in reality, and the other one is, like, just throwing, like, CPS calls and shit like that. You could say escalating, but...
Wait. Hold on.
See, I'm not even sure I would agree with that.
You're doing like CPS calls. I'm telling you, like, the leaders of the Ethan side are outright lying. Dan is literally an associate of Ethan. He is outright lying about his son.
I don't disagree that he's an associate. I think at worst, this is him misunderstanding what happened. I don't think this is a lie.
You don't think Dan is lying right now?
No. It is my opinion that I believe Dan actually believes this is a call to attack Ela. I don't believe
I've literally gone through and explained to him how he's lying. I posted the clip. He responded, no. Here's the quote where he says Ela Klein.
Yeah, so wouldn't that be evidence that he believes that it is a direct call to violence on Ethan Klein and that he's not?
Wait, you understand? Hold on. We have to actually cook now on the Dan side of things. You understand Dan's gone on multiple podcasts, including to you directly, and talked about how he just lies because he'll lie to get whatever goal he wants, right?
Are you talking about the clip that, like,
yes,
was
I'm also talking about when he went on a clip.
Okay,
I'm talking about how he pulled it back. He pulled it back eventually. Okay, but he went on a podcast with Tectone and Noxtaku and I think one other person, I can't remember who. Okay, and he said, yes, you should just lie about these people. They'll lie about you. Just lie about these people. We're just lying now.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that. If I saw that, I would condemn that. I don't think that's good. I don't think we should be lying. I don't think we have to lie.
Obviously, it's not good to lie. Thank you. I didn't need that from you. I understand that you think it's not good to lie. I'm telling you that Dan is lying here.
But you see how little effort that takes, in not just when people are calling to violence.
Wait, actually, like, lying's bad. Lying's super bad. I'm sorry. You're right. That took a lot to pull that out of me.
But no, you're not making a connection. I'm not connecting to you. I'm connecting to Hasan. Why doesn't Hasan do what I just did?
To say lying is bad?
Oh, come on, man. It's
you want Hasan to feel like it's incumbent on him. Hold on.
And about Bad Empanada.
After this,
about Noah Samson and about Bad Empanada.
Sure.
Noah Samson and about Bad Empanada.
He hears this about people.
Why doesn't he do what I just did?
Are you going to go and see if Dan has done these things where he's gone and said he's going to explicitly lie about people? And then are you going to investigate some of the things he's done to see if he's explicitly lied about people and then denounce him and the actions he's done to lie about people? We're going to undertake that because we expect it of Hasan, right?
I would, yeah, I'm going to look for the clip where he said, or I'm going to ask for the clip and look for the clip of him saying that we should lie about these people. I'm going to look for the context, get the context. I'm going to say, yeah, that's not a good thing to do. I'm taking what you're saying at face value. I'll just assume that you're representing it correctly. That is not a good thing to say. I condemn that. The point that I don't know how you didn't see that I was trying to make is there's a reason Hasan doesn't do that. The reason Hasan doesn't do that is because he's fine with it. That's the reason why. If I was Hasan, I would just go, nope, it was clipped out of context. Doesn't matter. It's clipped out of context. You actually,
I totally agree with you.
Wait. You sound like you support Israel. That's kind of weird. You sound like I'm not sure about this. Let's move on to the next topic. Yeah, you do. Let's move on to the next topic.
I do support Israel.
Oh, that's crazy. You're actually a pro-genocide baby killer. Let's move on to the next topic. Like, that's what I would do if I was Hasan. You understand that, right? There is a clear difference because there's a clear difference in goals. My aim is to be like, yeah, no, that's not a good thing, and be honest about what I believe in. His goal is not and it's very conveniently when it comes to calls of violence against other creators who are pro-genocide, pro-Israel. It's very convenient. All of a sudden, he can't condemn these people. Weird how he just all of a sudden can't condemn Hamas when it comes to rapes, when his literal co-host is showing him articles saying people were raped. I don't know, man. I just can't do it. Like,
Former
you know,
co-host, yeah.
I don't know, man. I
think his inability to call people out is his biggest weakness. Absolutely.
No, but why can't he call people out? Why?
Wait, he's talked about why he doesn't want to call those things out, right?
Why? Yeah, why?
I'm pretty sure he believes that like it doesn't make a difference, that like having uniformity, like literally just refusing to call out those certain actors is like actually helpful. Is actually like, okay, so in his opinion, people will try to distract you from the actual genocide going on in Israel by saying condemn Hamas. You have to condemn Hamas right now, right? You have to condemn Hamas. And he says that's a distraction. Don't pay attention to that. You have to keep driving home the point that there's a genocide going on. Make them own the genocide. Make them own the genocide. He thinks he's a propagandist, right? That's how he sees himself.
In the example I'm giving, Ethan already owned the genocide.
Yeah, but Ethan owns the genocide with none of the downstream effects. He doesn't actually call out how Israel has handled shit at all. Right?
Yes, he does. He literally calls Netanyahu a genocidal war criminal who should be in prison.
Okay, but you can't just say that's Netanyahu. That's the entire Israeli population. They're the people who continue to put that guy in power.
The Israeli population does not belong in prison.
That's a ridiculous. Sorry. They want Netanyahu as their prime minister, right?
No, they don't.
There's a core part of Israel that wants those people ethnically cleansed. Yes or no?
Say again?
There is a core part of Israel that wants that Gaza Strip ethnically cleansed, right?
Yeah, I would say there's a fair number of people, yeah.
Okay, so like it's not enough to just say, well, Netanyahu. No, there's a lot of people in Israel who have horrifying fucking opinions. And that's the reality we have to reckon with.
So you're telling me,
but Ethan Klein thinks that I could just denounce Netanyahu and then it's a genocide and nothing else needs to be done.
Wasn't to say, oh yeah, Israel's participating in a genocide, Netanyahu's a war criminal, but also a fair percentage of Israel is pro-genocide.
And they need to reckon with that. Yes, like the country is actually fundamentally broken right now.
What reckoning do they need to have?
Reckon with that as in you actually have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge that this country is like okay with doing things that are totally against our values completely.
He is recognizing that. What do you mean? That's where the Netanyahu shit comes from. That's where the cabinet comes from.
That's not Netanyahu. It's not the cabinet. It's the country.
No, the argument that the entirety of the country is condemnable of it is no. That's ridiculous.
Okay, do you think Israel after October 7th has moved further right or further left politically? Sorry, more towards Palestinian liberation or more towards like Palestinian like fuck these people?
Further, more antagonistic towards the people of Gaza.
Sure. So do we think that the country that already voted Netanyahu's in power, right? Do we think that somebody better or worse than Netanyahu's going to end up? Technically somebody better could end up as the prime minister because of the coalitions and stuff. But I think that the character of the country has shifted rightward, and I think it's continuing to shift rightward. And I think they've absolutely decided, as a country, I think they have a fairly locked-in position of like, yeah, we're totally fine with whatever happens to these people. Fuck these people now.
I don't think that is the characteristic. I don't believe that you can characterize the entire population that way. And if you can, then why don't you feel the same way about Gaza?
I do. I've said that explicitly.
Okay,
that
so
those
then
people, like that,
why
those
are-
populations
wait,
can't be
wait,
next
if
to each
that's
other.
true, then
I
why isn't
advocated that
Israel-
they should be ethnically
Wait, wait,
cleansed
wait, if
before
that's true,
the whole
why
thing
is
happened.
Israel-
I said they should
why
be
is
actually
Israel
moved out of
then
that
wrong
area.
why is Israel then wrong with kicking all of the Gazas out, people in Gaza out? If
Why are
you
they
believe
wrong
the
for
people
it?
of Gaza
Because of the
are
way they're doing
condemnable
it?
because
They're
they
literally
would,
starving
they
them
would
to-
support
they're literally
another
starving them
Hamas
out.
movement.
They're
If
literally
you
starving them
believe
out.
The people of
Hold
Gaza
on. They're literally
would
starving them out.
literally-
They're literally hold on. They're
No,
literally starving them out, right?
If you believe the entire population of Gaza is condemnable because they certainly now have more antagonistic views towards Israel and would favor an administration that would be actively antagonistic or genocidal towards Israel, then what is your argument against kicking them out?
What is he? Well, originally would have been that they have no chance militarily against Israel. Israel's total military supremacy over them, right? That's been the
not a good
argument for years.
argument.
That you don't need to ethnically cleanse them because you have complete military supremacy. My
Yeah,
argument
because
for,
they
for
could
like,
still-
oh,
they
they
could
should
still
be moved
commit
out
acts of
by the
suicide bombings,
international
they could still
community.
do
Just
shit
to
like
be
October
clear,
7th,
I'm going to
yeah.
say my argument for them being ethnically cleansed or forced out before after October 7th, but before Israel's ground operation was because I was like, oh, Israel's going to genocide these people. Like, actually now. Right? That's just to be clear. I don't think it was morally right
So
before
the
before
argument,
this happened.
your argument is
I
literally
don't even
both
think it's, like,
sides
morally
want
correct
to
for them
genocide
to-
each other. Your argument
Yes.
is both sides want to
Yes.
genocide each other. Okay.
Yes.
Why should Israel just go like, okay, I'm cool with you being my neighbor?
Because their neighbor is like a quadriplegic, right? They have all the power in that
just
situation.
killed, 1,500 or 1,300 people?
Why
their
did they have
country?
that? Why did they have the security breach? Why did it take them so long
because
to
of an
respond?
intelligence failure, to my knowledge.
Because of an intelligence failure, it took them so long to respond because half of their fucking army was out of off duty and they were protesting Netanyahu trying to take over the Supreme Court, right?
Sure.
Okay, so it was just a complete fucking clusterfuck that really shouldn't have happened. They do have complete military
And
supremacy
so
over
they
those
should
people.
just be
It
cool
should
with
never have
having
been possible.
an entire population of 2 million people that want to genocide all of them right next to them.
They basically should be the people who are more understanding or more in control of the situation, that they shouldn't be able to keep those people in terms of they shouldn't be able to keep them occupied even while they have those beliefs, right? Without they shouldn't be able to keep those people occupied while having total
To
military
be clear,
supremacy
I don't
as well.
agree with any of the points that you made. I don't believe that you can characterize, you should be characterizing the entire country of Israel as genocidal against Gazans, nor do I believe that you should be characterizing the
Significant
entire
portion of the
population
country.
of Gazans
Significant
as
portion of the
genocidal
country.
against Israel.
Significant portion of the country.
Yeah, I don't believe that we should be characterizing it this way. I think we should be characterizing it as the actions of the government.
All of
Because
this is in
when
service,
we look at-
just to be clear,
because
all this
I
is in
think
service
this
of
is
the
the
point
basis for
that if you just say
terrorism. I think this
Netanyahu's
is
a
literally the
genocidal
basis
war
for
criminal,
terrorism.
that is not a sufficient criticism of the state of Israel. That is not a sufficient criticism if you think a genocide's going on. I don't think a genocide was occurring, so I didn't need to do that, right? But I think if you think there's a genocide going on and your criticism is, well, actually Netanyahu's like a genocidal war criminal and it's all Netanyahu. No, that absolves so many people who are incredibly it absolves all culpability of that population.
What did he need to do?
What did Ethan need to do? Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. Where are the other criticisms of this? Oh, I need to figure out where some of the other criticisms are of this. Oh, hold on. Somebody sent me a clip here.
Ethan has routinely criticized the Israeli government even before he was hanging out with Hassan. He was routinely criticizing the Israeli government
Yes.
for their treatment of
Yes.
Palestinians.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you need from him?
I would need something. So basically, I need something to show that he is still in support of that group. That isn't just Netanyahu's a genocidal war criminal, right?
What?
Because
Yeah,
in
I'm asking
general,
you what?
I think in general, I feel like they have. So again, I'm going off of
He
clips.
donated to a Palestinian charity.
Okay.
Like, what else do you need?
I would assume some action that is that is condemning all military operations in the Gaza Strip, something like that.
He said he condemns the military operations. No,
I haven't seen him condemn broadly all military operations, but maybe he has.
for sure. Yeah, you're right. Yes, correct. He has not condemned all military operations because I don't believe that's condemnable. I think when you're shooting a rocket, and I think he feels the same way. If you're shooting rockets from a fucking hospital courtyard and shit like that, you're gonna get the fuck bombed. Yeah.
Sorry, I haven't looked into this stuff in a long time. My arguments were basically, so when I watched this, it was he has the opinion that it's a genocide, but none of his
Yep.
other opinions line up with somebody who thinks there's a genocide. Like he doesn't
Like
think
what?
any sort of violent action from the Palestinians is like warranted, right?
Wait,
Like, I
that's
haven't
not.
seen
There's.
that.
Wait.
Like,
Do you
I'm
think
saying
his
attacking
opinion
Israeli
is that
military
if
members.
people
I could have
push back-
sworn that he was not against, or sorry, he's not for attacking Israeli military members.
So your
Realistically-
opinion is that he has never stated, or has in no way implied that, or we'll just say explicitly stated, that action against the settlers in the West Bank or the IDF in the West Bank is justified.
No, I think he would say that. But I think that's
He did
another
say that,
easy
just to
point
be
to have.
clear, he
Yeah,
did
I
say
think he
that.
would say that.
Okay,
Yeah, I think
so
would say
he
that.
has justified action against them. So
Yeah. Okay, I think
What-
that's
what
like
else?
a
What do you
totally.
mean?
I think you could totally be in support of the military, of the Israeli government in general, and say you condemn those, right?
maybe. I mean, not. I mean, sure. I guess, kind of. Yeah, kind of. I mean, it depends on what kind of support you're talking about.
Okay.
Well, I'm asking you, what kind of support are you talking about? What are you looking for?
What?
From
So basically, what I was looking for is for him to essentially complain about the state the Gazans are living in, maybe like 30% as much as he complains about, anti-Semitism rising in the West and all like the plight of the Israelis, right?
This
That
is the
if there's
part
if there's a
that
genocide going on, I would just assume that he would spend some amount of time talking about that. Right?
didn't he literally
Sorry, some
cry
significant
about?
amount of time.
Didn't he literally cry on camera about a Palestinian father who like held his dying child?
I
Don't
have
we
no
literally
idea.
have footage of him on Leftovers crying over this?
Possibly. That's way before like any of this other stuff, right? That's way before almost all of the stuff that was going on.
Maybe it was a
Like that's
I don't know.
so if that's like years ago.
Jewish-
Yeah, sorry, if that's like years ago, I feel like that's before this started, no?
No, it was during the conflict.
Sorry, I'm saying
Or you're
before
talking
the
about before
Ethan,
the
Ethan Klein
back
and
and forth.
Hassan shit. Yes.
Oh yeah, no, that's going to be my point. My principal point is I think that, and this is with all due respect, I think this is a part of the gaslighting apparatus from the Hassan crew. Ethan, and I'll tell you how I see this machine to work, and maybe you're going to disagree with it. The reason why we have far more footage of Ethan and Hila talking about the plight of Israeli people and Jewish people is for two reasons. One, when they experience anti-Semitism or attacks based on their them being Israeli or the IDF membership or whatever,
Yep.
it's either unfounded, unjustified, or played up or exaggerated. It's almost never just like actually good criticism because they
Yep.
condemn all these various things. So the result of that is going to be that they defend that. So they're going to spend a lot of time defending themselves on that merit. And the second one is that they get a lot of heat for saying that, and especially from Hassan's community, that any defense of Israel in any way, shape, or form is pro-genocide. And so then
Yep.
they need to defend the point that being against Israel no longer existing, or like being for the existence of Israel, isn't inherently pro-genocide. And because they every single fucking day get attacked with these 2 points over and over again, of course, the majority of their content is going to be this. Of course, the majority of their content is going to look like
Okay.
they support Israel
So-
because
Hold
every
on.
single fucking day they get 50 fucking messages saying, hey,
Okay.
you hate Palestinians because you think Israel should exist. And then they need to go through a diatribe about why thinking Israel existing doesn't mean you think every single Palestinian should be strung up by the neck. So of course.
Hold on. Okay. So I agree with almost all of that. I agree that Ethan didn't start this. I agree that Ethan was chased around like unhingedly, okay? I totally agree on that. I think he started leaning back into it, and I think he started getting unhinged in reverse back at everybody sometime in the past like 6 to 8 months, okay? That's what I see. Is he is like the Palestinians, okay? His original grievance, very valid. People went after him for essentially no reason. But after a while, he like spends all of his time going after these people. I really the lawsuits, dude, the lawsuits.
No.
I-
I'm talking about a very specific thing. You said he spends so much of his time, because this is literally the narrative from like the Hassan crew. You spend 95% of your time talking about Israel, yet you claim that you care about Palestine. He spends 95% of his time talking about Israel because everyone says his opinions on Israel makes him pro-genocide when it doesn't. And so therefore he needs to explain.
So here's how. So this is the argument in reverse, okay? This is the other side's argument. So basically, there's been a genocide going on. Israel's had the intent to ethnically cleanse Gaza since the start of this operation. And basically, every time somebody from the pro-Palestine side says like, hey, this is really fucked up. This can't be allowed to continue. This is crazy. This is wild. This military operation's gotten way too out of hand. The response is, what, is Israel not allowed to defend itself? What, is Israel not allowed to do anything? What, is Israel not have the right to exist? Do you disagree on that? That is like very often the reverie we hear from the pro-Israel people?
Well, I'm talking exclusively about Ethan.
Okay, has Ethan not said this? Can Israel not defend itself? Does it not have the right to exist?
No, he has, but I don't believe he says this anytime somebody says that like the Palestinians have a right to defend themselves.
Okay. My understanding is basically it's like, hey, this is really fucking crazy. Like, this shit's going on. Like, the military operation's bad. And Ethan gets dragged into that, right? On the political points, I don't know how much Ethan... I don't know how much I disagree with, like, if you just had him in a room alone, I don't know how much I would disagree with what he's saying, right? I don't have
okay, so the whole point of me bringing this up is you said that he just spends a lot of time talking about Israel. The reason he spends a lot of time talking about Israel is because everybody thinks he's pro-genocide when he's not. Do you agree or disagree with that analysis?
The plight of Israelis. And like globally, like Jews, like talking about anti-Semitism. So like basically there's this perception of anti-Semitism. He got skulls sent to his house, right? And to me, there's like probably if you think there's like if you really think there's a genocide going on, you probably want to prioritize that as well in terms of your messaging, right? That like if you, I don't think there's a genocide occurring.
I mean, at the end of the day, no, not super because he's not a political streamer, but I mean, a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, that's basically my argument is I think probably if you think there's a genocide going on, I would see some indication of that in your content selection.
There is indication. You've already admitted he said it at several different instances, and he hasn't strayed away from it.
I don't believe that just saying it is enough to...
He often talks about...
just saying it is all that there is to it.
What he donated? What else does he like? That's the problem. Because we already looped on this. You said he just talks a lot and he speaks a lot about the Israeli people, which is true, but he does that because everybody attacks his position.
Yes, but I'm saying that as like an aside, I would also expect you to be talking about like, hey, it's really stupid to call me an anti-Semite when there's a genocide going on. Like, well, that's what we could be focused on, right? But realistically, I just kind of doubt that. I think personally, if your argument was there's a genocide going on, that you would just have more of a focus on that. I just think broadly his opinions don't really track with it.
First of all, that is a bitch-made standard. We should not have that as an objectively dog shit standard. Hey, you just made an accusation about my opinions that is totally incorrect.
What's my accusation?
I'm actually not going to address any of that. I'm just going to say there's a genocide going on.
What's my
accusation
about your opinions?
You're literally telling him to do the Hassan strategy.
What's my accusation about your opinions?
What?
What'd
you just say?
You said you just made an accusation about my opinions. Yeah, I didn't hear what you said because I was like, wait, what are you saying?
You would expect him to react in a manner that is identical to Hassan, which is you're saying I'm pro-genocide when there's an actual genocide going on, and then move on. That is the Hassan strategy, and that is horrible because that means he has total immunity because he just straps dead Palestinian babies to his chest and goes, you think I'm pro-genocide? Nope, there's a genocide going on. Don't care. Not going to hear your criticism. What? No.
I don't understand what you're saying at all.
I don't know how this is hard to understand. Ignoring criticism by saying there's a genocide going on is bad.
Yes.
You said when accused of anti-Semitism, being pro-genocide, he should just say there's a genocide, and then that's it.
I'm saying that if there are issues, okay, I'm saying if there are issues for him and he's got all these people going, it's like, hey, I think a good response would be, hey, there's a genocide going on. Why are you worried about me? Right? And do some content on it.
No, that's horrible. That's the Hassan strategy. That's horrible.
Wait, you don't understand that
wants.
using their position against them is like an intelligent thing to do.
No, it is not. That is the race to the bottom. That is the exact opposite of what anybody wants.
You understand that it's like tongue in cheek, right? That if you all agree there's genocide going on, you just redirect to that. Yes? Yes, like you redirect to the genocide going on. You say, let's focus on that. And you do content on that. Correct?
No, that's a horrible thing to do. When you get accused of like supporting a genocide, you defend your positions. That's what you do. You don't just go, there's a genocide going on, so you can't criticize that I'm pro-genocide. That is the Hasan strategy.
Sorry. You can totally defend your positions. Where's an instance where he's defended one of his positions on Israel? Can we get an example?
My argument is every single moment that he talks about Israel is the point that he's doing it.
Can we get an example?
Yeah, the Hasan debate.
So the Hasan debate. You think he seems pro-Israel only because he's debating Hasan?
Yes, because he's defending his points that he's not pro-genocide, and that like he's also that Hasan has slipped into a pro-terror position, which he has, and he showed.
He's slipped into a pro. I think he's slipped into a position where he has equated the terrorists to the IDF, and then he feels like there's no moral reason to call anybody out, right? Which is fucking retarded, obviously.
Oh, no. My problem is when I'm looking for actionable steps for Ethan to illustrate that he cares about the people of Gaza, you gave me an example, which is, I think, the worst thing he could possibly do, which is just not take criticism and say there's a genocide going on, which is one-to-one exactly what Hasan does. And the reason why, frankly, a lot of people hate him, and including myself. It's that he just, you like the prescription is literally the meme, strap dead Palestinian babies to your chest and then just go, well, there's a genocide going on. You can't say I'm pro-genocide.
You understand that I'm saying that you would like cover the content, right? You would cover the actual material content. You would cover like, you know, Israel setting up the food drops that like turn into death traps. You just cover that, right? You go, oh, look, these people are complaining about me again. Well, instead of this, I'm going to go cover that shit.
Yeah, that's still what Hasan does. That's not good. We don't want people where it's like,
hold on. Are the criticisms of Ethan valid or invalid?
I'm just going to move on and I'm just going to cover
really quickly.
Whatever.
Just really quickly. Are the criticisms of Ethan valid or invalid?
They are invalid.
Okay, so if he's got a bunch of invalid criticism, is it not a better approach to go, you know what? It's really fucked up that you're saying that. Fuck you. I'm going to go cover the food drops that are getting like fucking like shot up by Israel.
I think it is more valid to illustrate why these arguments are invalid.
Okay. And then 2 years later, when you've been illustrating how those arguments are invalid and you're still in the same cycle?
Yeah, I would say at some point you have to cut the cycle, sure. But the argument that he should just like,
okay,
because
I think he was like totally valid
is
in all of his actions for like 6 months or so. And now I think it's like, it's obviously gone way past. It's like,
okay, so then your argument is that it would be valid in that he shouldn't then take your line of action because now the criticisms are valid.
What?
Your argument now is that the criticisms of him are valid, no?
Mostly the criticisms on how he is like refusing to let this die, continue to go after these people all the time. Whether or not they stop talking about him, right?
It's good. I mean, I mean, they don't stop talking about him. They always make digs at him. That always happens. But it's your prescription, I think, is a terrible prescription. Yeah, at some point you do have to stop talking about it, but he can't just turn into a political streamer. He's not a political streamer. At some point, he needs to just go, I agree. Hey, you think I'm pro-genocide? Like, sucks to be you or whatever. And then just cover, I don't know, relationship drama stuff with some celebrities and stuff like that he does cover. But this idea that like, this is what he needs to show that he's pro-Gaza is the exact opposite.
I think just showing that you're not pro-Gaza, that you think there's a genocide going on and you support the Palestinians, right? I think if you wanted to do that, you would do that through your content. You would cover the stuff that Israel's doing, right?
He's not a political streamer. He streams about like the fucking dudes who have funny teeth on TikTok.
On how Hasan is making really bad arguments about Israel. Did you not spend all this time studying for it?
Yeah, he did, because Hasan weaponized his entire audience for like fucking over a year to just totally shit on this guy and character assassinate him. Of course he's going to respond.
Okay, 2 years, right?
I don't know how long it's been, but
It's, yeah, 2 years. We're coming up on 2 years right away.
yeah, but that's not the way to respond to that. You're saying, hey, what, he needs to just start covering politics now?
No, I'm saying that if you're concerned about it being a genocide, you're concerned about people's perception of you, you can cover it to show, hey, here's like my actual positive position of why I think Israel's committing a genocide.
He's done that.
Has Ethan, wait, where?
In not only inside of the debate that he actually had with
Wait, what was his reasoning for thinking Israel's committing a genocide?
You said that the actions that are going on in the West Bank were tantamount to genocide. No, he's talked about the West Bank.
The West Bank's tantamount to genocide. Are you sure that wouldn't be ethnic cleansing?
Ethnic cleansing is a form of genocide. No.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, then, I mean, I guess then maybe I misunderstood, but I thought ethnic cleansing was a form of. Well, I guess it could be. I don't know. Then I guess
Ethnic
maybe I
cleansing. Some people think ethnic cleansing is that. Ethnic cleansing doesn't mean killing. Yeah, the West Bank's like not even a genocide.
Well, you don't have to kill somebody to commit
Situation in
genocide.
the West Bank. You could like castrate them, but the idea is to
cultural
like,
genocide
eliminate
and stuff like that exists.
Okay, yeah, but then I think you have to say cultural genocide, and that's a totally different thing, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
But either way, he has stated and he has done content, including with Hassan back when Leftovers was not a total failed mission, but he has done content talking about Palestinians. He's donated to charities.
Sure.
If you want to believe that he isn't,
again, to me, if I believe the Holocaust was happening and I was going to go and do content constantly on people who talk about how the Holocaust is bad, right? Then I'd probably slip in some content to show that, like, oh yeah, I still am like super against the Holocaust. Here's like the latest thing they did in the Holocaust. Probably. If you feel like he's done that, if you feel like he's appropriately expressed when Israel's done bad things and like talked about it and excoriated Israel,
I feel like this is a double standard.
Fine.
Why is it? I feel like this is a double standard. Why can Hassan say once that he doesn't support the attacking of civilians, but in like 90% of his coverage, he does the opposite? But Ethan has to.
In 90% of his coverage, he avows the attacking of civilians. Just you're going to stand on that. Then in 90% of his coverage, Hassan avows the attacking of Israeli civilians.
What?
You just said in 90% of his coverage, Hassan avows attacking Israeli civilians.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because he's kidnapping when it comes to the kidnapping for the Houthis, when it comes to literally his coverage post October 7th, 90% of Hassan's coverage says, yeah, what Hamas did is either not bad or good. Yes.
Okay.
You disagree with that?
I disagree that either of us have actually watched enough of his coverage to make a real statement on that. I think we've both seen the same clips, and I think you haven't seen like counter clips for that, and you're making your assertion off of clips only. I think everybody here who thinks that you can say 90% of Hassan's coverage on Israel-Palestine is him saying that he avows the attacking of civilians, I think that's wild. Or like anytime he talks about October 7th, he avows the attacks of civilians, that's insane to me.
I can give you endless opportunities when confronted point blank. Is this kidnapping of civilians? Is these rapes bad? And he either refuses to answer or says it's okay.
Okay, give me the clips where he's asked, are rapes bad? And he says, it's okay.
Okay, not for the rapes, I don't think he says it's okay, but
we're just making shit up, dude. I don't know what the fuck to do.
Wait. To be clear, I gave 2 examples and I said either one of these things. For the kidnapping, he says it's okay, it's justified. And for the rapes, he says, I don't know anything about that. Or just refuses and moves on. I gave you 2 separate examples. It's not that I'm making shit up. Don't pull that shit. If you want to go debate bro, I can hard debate bro you, but let's not fucking do that. Obviously, when I give you 2 different examples, I'm talking about 2 separate examples.
I swear to God, I'm having fun. Why don't people come on to talk anymore? Why can't we just yell at each other all the time? I do kind of eventually want to get back to the Hassan.
I don't think that is very fun. You know exactly what I mean, and you're just trying.
I don't know. I actually don't know
shit.
exactly what you mean here. I'm literally like listening to the things you say, and
when
I
he
don't
says
know.
things like "what rapes."
Yes. Okay. I know what he says. What rapes? That's not saying rapes are good, right? I think to me, okay, you're gonna steelman that. How would you steelman that? Because I know how I'd steelman. How would you steelman that comment?
So just to be clear, when I'm saying that they're okay or justifying them or any of these different things, that includes a streamer in front of 40,000 people not recognizing that something that objectively happened, not recognizing that it happened. That's what I'm saying. That is the same thing. That is saying something.
I'm not saying that's the same thing, but I can admit that, or I can agree that
you don't operate that way. That's okay. But me not recognizing that something happened is saying that it's okay.
It's not as bad. It's not as bad. Yeah, sure. I don't know if I agree on that. Maybe.
No, because he knows they happen. Wait. Just to be clear, when Hasan is talking about the rapes, when Hasan is confronted with the rapes in front of Ethan, to your knowledge, this is going to be very revealing. Does Hasan know the rapes happened? Yes or no?
Does he know that rapes have happened? Yes, he would know that rapes would have
on
happened
October 7th and after October 7th. Does he know that they happened?
He knows that rapes happened on October 7th for sure, and he knows about the one testimony at minimum of somebody who said they witnessed a rape in captivity.
Okay, we could just operate off of that. Even still, then why, when confronted by Ethan, does he refuse to condemn them unless he's okay with it?
So he says, I refuse. So Ethan says, will you condemn the rapes? And he says, I won't condemn the rapes.
He just doesn't condemn them. He just tries to move on, talk about how there isn't hard evidence, that there's no evidence in these cases. He talks about how there isn't evidence inside of these cases. Yeah,
is it possible that he doesn't feel like Ethan's operating, like not asking him this question, like Ethan's trying to get him to, like, I don't know, call himself a retard, that he just wants to move on? Do you think that's not possible? You think it's more likely that he totally avows these rapes?
What? I'm sorry. Do I feel like it's more likely?
So
what?
I don't remember the debate. I don't remember the Hasan thing.
If you want to ask what Hasan is trying to do, Hasan is trying to save face. He objectively is. If you disagree, you're fucking retarded. And I don't trust you as a human being.
So I agree that he's trying to save face. I agree with you that he's trying to save face. But I'm disagreeing. Gen Chat's not muted. You can sign up for the Patreon. It's just locked to Patreon subs. Now, fuck. Sorry, I just lost it because I answered a question.
Hey, if you are somebody who has an IQ above, I'll say 35, he is objectively trying to save face. That is it. That is the only thing he's trying to do.
He's trying to save face 100%.
Yes. Okay?
Yes, 100%. But what is the motive for saving face?
Refusing to condemn the rapes that are
is the motive for saving face that he avows rape of civilians, or is the motive for saving face that he doesn't want to admit to things that he doesn't know happened for sure? Right? That is he trying to say, like, oh, I don't know that, like, these mass rapes happen, these systemic rapes happen.
Is it of your opinion that Hasan has just never read a single article about how there were rapes on October 7th?
It's of my opinion that he believes that Z-Squirrel's retarded fucking propaganda on this, 100%.
No.
Like, I think there's no way you can read that UN report on sexual violence on October 7th and believe that sexual assaults didn't occur, that multiple sexual assaults didn't occur, that you would fail to even call it mass sexual assault, like mass, mass rape or whatever, right?
It's flippy floppy because in your own statement, you say that he has recognized rapes have happened on October 7th. You've said this, right?
Sure.
Before. Okay, so then why wouldn't he admit it in front of him? When we've already established, yes, saving face, but after that, we know he knows rapes happened on October 7th. So he is intentionally trying to withhold it with what purpose?
I don't know, so I'd have to watch the clip. I would imagine if it's like, will you disavow the rapes? Will you disavow the rapes? Will you disavow the rapes? I assume if that's how the clip is going, then I would understand how you might be, like, hesitant to just, like, give that person what they want. I understand the hesitancy. You shouldn't be hesitant, right? I would just wonder what his opinion
when
is.
Somebody who knows that the rapes happened refuses to condemn it because they want to save face, are they not?
Let's just finish watching the clip. Okay, hold on. I just need to ask you. You have time to finish watching the clip, and then we have to go back and finish watching.
What is this clip? Is this from the debate?
Yes, this is from the debate.
Yeah.
And then we have to go back and finish watching the actual thing. We have to finish going through the notepad with the actual points and through what Hasan's saying. Because we've totally switched onto a totally different argument now, right? like we're having a totally different argument with Ethan that I'm not really prepared for. I don't really care about. And I do want to go back to this
totally
argument.
Different from the argument you were making, because you said a part of your argument was Ethan calling Hasan a pedophile. And so you're making an argument that with that in mind, he's just like looking to get a job and shit like that. My arguments are isolated to exclusively Hasan's content as a whole and Hasan's statement in this context.
Wait, we both agree he's trying to get a job.
Yes, but your point had to do with like Ethan calling him a pedophile or something. That this was stemming from
he's trying to get a jab because these guys are going like hard on him still. Yeah, 100%.
All right, you can go ahead.
Okay, we can watch this.
There is
This is the stuff I'm just gonna grab some water. I don't know if you do. You need a minute to grab like water or something too? If we're gonna go over these last.
I have water
things.
next to me.
You good? Okay, give me a
Did
second.
you put a
In
Hamas
captivity.
headband on me?
I sure did.
There is one instance in captivity that we have actually gotten verifiable evidence on. Beyond that, the systematized mass rapes that Hamas dealt on October 7, not a single bit of that has been verified. And people
It's true,
still run
yeah.
with it over and over.
Okay, do you disagree with that point? That systematized mass rape has not been that there's no evidence of that. Do you disagree
Depends on
with
what
that?
you categorize as systematized or mass.
Okay.
So there's evidence that
systemic.
Hamas leadership and Hamas as an organization didn't care about their troops raping.
So we don't consider this clip rape denial then?
No, I would say it is, because there's one. As he says, there's one case of rape that happened that we know of in captivity.
To captives.
So he's not even talking about mass systematized. He's talking about even singular instances of this.
In
And
captivity,
there isn't
of
just one.
captive
There's
people.
multiple.
So he's separating
Yes,
between
there's
the
multiple.
captured people
In
and
the UN
so
report, in the UN
he knows of
report
one,
itself,
and
it
this
talks
is
about the rapes that
Sure.
are-
In captivity means of captured people, like once they're taken back into Gaza.
Yes, in
That's
the
what he means by
UN
that.
report, let me finish my sentence. In the UN report, it states that there's overwhelming evidence or clear and convincing evidence that rape is currently and sexual violence is currently happening or was happening post hostage taking post October 7th in captivity of adults and children. So at least if you
maybe
read
this
the
is
UN
different
report,
than
it
the
states
UN
that.
report I read. I feel like I don't.
It is.
recall reading
I'm
that.
99% sure it's the same one. People just didn't read that part. I'm like
Possibly.
99% sure it's the same one. Unless
Sounds like there's 4 reports now. I don't know when this clip was and how many reports were out then.
the
So I
UN
would
report
expect
in
Hassan
question was
covering this to be
100%
up to
out.
date
I
on what is
believe
out.
I specifically read the UN report in response to this.
There are 4 reports. Do you want the link? Oh, there are 4 UN reports. I'm talking about the first one that the Z-Scroll person misrepresents.
Yes, that one. Yes, that one. It is in there. We can go through it right now if you like.
I mean, I guess I believe you.
I can just read this section.
I just don't recall it. Yeah. Here. Well, hold on. I'm gonna hit play. I walked back just to ask what you thought about the mass systematized thing. Okay, 1 second.
And over again.
Many young people who are simply attending a music festival. Women were horribly raped.
I can't see myself, by the way, if you're showing
As
my
I said,
reaction.
Oh,
then,
you're giggling.
today,
You're
Israel
giggling.
has
It's so
a right-
funny.
has a
No,
right
I'm
to
not
defend
giggling.
itself.
I'm
What
cringing.
rapes
sure
did
are.
do? Bro, what rapes did Hamas do? What are you talking
What
about?
rapes did
The
Hamas
Stop
do?
Anti-Semitism account that considered me to be anti-Semite of the week has also been hallucinating rapes once again, doing rape fantasies once again because they're fucking mentally ill.
Hamas has
You know that-
committed
That's something you go to a lot. You notice that?
What?
Call people mentally ill. Find that odd. Probably should revise that. I don't know if that's kosher for leftist values.
horrific
I'm
acts
not
of sexual
exactly,
violence.
I'm
took-
not exactly doing a lot of stuff that's kosher for leftist values in general.
Oh, okay,
but
so
I don't
so you have no problem weaponizing mental health.
Yeah, when
I
someone is
don't-
hallucinating, I think it's appropriate to say that. Yeah.
By your authority, I will decide who's hallucinating. Hassan. Watch
Okay.
this.
horrific acts
can
of
you-
sexual violence
Ethan.
and took
Hassan, I am so sorry. You promised that we would watch this. I pulled it up. Now sit silently and enjoy.
But I got the point. You're
Hamas
saying
has
that like
committed
you're
horrific
showing
acts
clips
of
of me.
sexual
You're showing
violence
clips of me saying
and
that
took
someone
Women
is
and girls,
Wait,
men
what-
and boys slaughtered after enduring sexual violence.
the deadliest day for the Jewish people.
Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much. So that's the other part of this problem that many people that can't contend with. Like,
That clip is not anywhere near as bad as what people say.
I can't believe how quickly left.
Oh, also I'm back. What's up? Did we want to stop on any of these clips? Because to me, the worst one by far, and the only one that really stands out to me, is the what rapes happened on. What rapes did Hamas do? That's the one that stands out to me.
You can't take these single clips or these clips in isolation. They build a greater context for his work.
A lot of these clips are taken totally out of context. This clip specifically with the Terrence Howard thing, he's. I don't think you disagree with the sentiment there whatsoever.
Okay, I didn't look into that one. What is he saying?
He's saying that, like, even if rapes happen from Hamas, it doesn't change my view of the genocide one iota, which I think is just like a actual
no.
solid
Okay,
position.
hold on. I'm trying to really be good faith here. He can say things that if you or me said them, we can be reasonable about where they're coming from, and even that it's not like pro-rape or pro-genocide or anything like that. But in the greater context, paints not only his content, but also his other statements in a pro-genocide or pro-rape cover-up fashion. He can do that. So like in that context where it's like, it doesn't, I don't care. I don't understand how you can have this double standard. So for Ethan, he can say that fucking Netanyahu's a genocidal war criminal who should belong in prison, but I can't say Hamas is pro-terrorism, even though on record he has clips like, oh, what rapes did Hamas do, in all these various different clips.
I don't mind if you
and
call him
stuff like that, but
pro-terrorism.
there's like no
Saying
evidence
that
of him
terrorism's
saying
like a-
Hamas committed
Hold on.
horrible acts of rape on October 7th.
Just
It
be
was
clear,
widespread. I condemn Hamas
Sure.
from top to bottom. I think
Can
Hamas
we go
leadership
point by
belong
point
in
here?
prison. I think Hamas leadership should be killed. There is no such clip that exists
So
of Hassan
I'm
saying
gonna
that at all.
Can we
but,
just go through those
like,
point by point?
God.
Sure. So the one where he's pro-terrorism, it's like, I do think he's pro-terrorism, but terrorism's like a subjective label, right? Like, is there any? Do you not agree that Ethan would consider the IDF terrorist or a terrorist organization?
I think he said that it is. Right?
Okay.
In the debate, he said it was.
So basically, you could be, a lot of people are pro IDF terrorism or pro anti-IDF terrorism. Why is Hassan significantly different from those people? Like, anybody that is avowing like Israeli attacks on Gaza,
Because
Israeli
he doesn't
operations into the
condemn
West Bank.
Hamas. He never condemns Hamas.
Okay, lots of people don't disavow Israeli operations into the West Bank. I'm not saying Ethan, I'm just saying in general.
Condemns Israel. Ethan condemns Israel.
Sure.
So
he
why are
condemns
you saying
Israel.
there's insufficient? Like there's it feels like this is a double standard. I'm having to prove that
I'm
Ethan
telling you
is,
that Hassan
is
has not built his position. Just
pro-Palestinian.
to be clear,
It's pro-Palestinian enough, and you're telling me
cutting
he
this
needs
off.
to
I literally
do,
said
like,
this
three
doesn't refer to
backflips.
Ethan.
But
I literally said I wasn't referring to Ethan right now.
But for me, telling you Hassan is like this, it's like it's insane.
Okay, I'm telling you how Hassan like built this position, right? Is that he thinks the IDF is a terrorist organization, and anybody who's resisting that terrorist organization is justified, right? It'd be like if you went into Iraq during the Iraq Civil War, right? And you supported some fucking malicious group that was on your side because they resisted ISIS, right? It's like, probably that militia group is like evil, but realistically it's the only thing there, right?
Does this
That's
have
how
to do
he
with
looks
the
at it.
claim that the double standard claim I'm making?
I'm just talking about why. So I'm saying I agree with you that he's pro-terrorism. I'm explaining to you why
and
he's
so-
pro-terrorism.
No way he's
It's not about the double standard. I'm not saying there's not. I'm not saying there's a double standard. I'm saying that I agree with you that he's pro-terrorism. I'm explaining to you why he's pro-terrorism.
Okay, so my point is that I don't feel like Ethan Klein should be jumping through all of these different hoops, right, to be able to justify these things. And yet we're going through this VOD, so I can say to you that Hassan is pro-terrorism. If you think Hassan is pro-terrorism, why are we even here?
Because I just
Why are we
explained to you
watching this
why being
VOD? Why are we watching
Wait,
this VOD?
You just aren't listening to me? I just
Okay,
explained to
so
you
why are we
why
watching
being
this
pro-terrorism might not be a bad thing in Hassan's world. Because we're investigating your claims on the rapes.
I don't give a fuck. Am I talking to Hassan? Is your name Hassan Abi?
No.
Okay, so I'm not talking to Hassan. I'm talking to JSTLK. I don't give a fuck if he thinks it's not a bad thing. I know he doesn't think it's a bad thing.
Okay.
I'm talking to you, man. What the fuck? I'm talking to
Are we
you.
not, are we not talking about like how Hassan operates in the world? I think that there's some argument that
We're
if there's an
talking about
organization
whether-
that is operating as a terrorist organization, but is also a part of a state, that I don't necessarily think the terrorist organizations around that state are like the significantly worse moral actors in some cases. I do believe that the Israeli government actually abducts and kidnaps like basically civilians from the Palestinian population, then lets them go as they see fit, right? Like basically the argument is in terms of the relative morality in those locations, there's not a significant difference between supporting the Houthis and supporting Israel. That's like Hassan's argument, right?
Sure.
Okay. Do you think that's totally without merit?
Yes, I believe it is totally without merit. The Houthis versus Israel are entirely different entities. Yes, because Israel has innocent people. Yes, but Israel has entirely innocent people and even anti-war people in it. The Houthis do not, because they're a militant group. If you want to talk about the people in Yemen, I could maybe agree with that. Yeah.
Say that again.
But
Sorry, say that again.
Houthis.
Say that again. Say the whole thing. I totally didn't understand what you're saying.
Okay. The Houthis are a militant group. It is fair to say every single person in there is a military like operative in some fashion.
So just
or
switch it to the IDF.
You cannot say the same for Israel.
So just switch it to the IDF?
Yeah, sure. You could switch it to the IDF, yeah.
I mean, that was probably my point anyway.
I still don't think it's 1-to-1 because they aren't capturing vessels and taking hostages of international individuals and stuff like that. Most of their crimes are relegated exclusively to that specific populace.
Do you think Israel wouldn't do that if they felt like those people were supporting like the Houthis? Like if one of those ships was delivering weapons to the Houthis, you don't think Israel would do that?
I think they probably would, but the Houthis don't exclusively take vessels that are aiding Israel.
But that's their claim. I think they don't damage vessels that are like supposed to be not aiding Israel.
But they still take hostages, which is the important. I don't give a fuck about damaging the vessels. I care about hostages.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with you entirely.
Right? We would both care only about hostages, right? I don't care if you
point
break
is,
fucking,
so the point is the IDF does
ship.
the same. The point is the IDF basically does similar things, right?
Do they capture innocent civilians because in fucking do the shit when they have no connection to Yemen or saying Yemen?
No connection, but tenuous connections. I would not say no
like
connection.
What? Can you give me an example?
I would say tenuous. Fuck. Off the top of my head, no. But I believe so I haven't done a ton of digging into these. But I do believe this is broadly accepted that because, and again, this, I think Lonerbox's argument is like, well, here's the difference. This is the difference between the Houthis and somebody else, okay? Is that that Israel does do things like this. That Israel does actually take people prisoner when they shouldn't because they have their own regulatory bodies. They actually have their own oversight, right? That is the thing that makes Israel better than the actual terrorist organizations, is they'll report on themselves.
I agree with that.
Right? So I think that's probably where you get to, but it's not that they don't do the same things. It's not that they don't get into that they don't make really evil decisions. It's not that they don't do really shitty things. It's that they have their own oversight. And so they will eventually, hopefully, figure that stuff out.
Okay, so I also found the excerpt from the UN article that for some reason none of those fucking mouth breathers could ever read. And so I just have the excerpt. This isn't for you. This is to prove that they didn't read it. Okay, people like Hassan didn't read it. So the mission team reviews incident of alleged sexual violence related to hostages in Gaza based on the first-hand accounts of released hostages. The mission team has clear and convincing information that sexual violence, including rape, sexualized torture, and cruel, inhumane, degrading treatment occurred against some women and children during their time in captivity, and has reasonable grounds to believe that this violence may be ongoing.
Okay.
Period. So just to make it clear, in that statement alone, there is more than one person, including children, that it has clear and convincing evidence of. And it has the standards laid out. And clear and convincing is not the highest standard, but it's a significant standard, right? And so they just didn't read this.
Okay.
But to be clear, the reason why this is relevant is because they claim to have read it. They claim to have read it. And then when somebody like Ethan is referencing excerpts from it, they're like, hey, why aren't you guys recognizing some of the things that literally exist in this document? And Hassan is saying there's only one instance of this happening in captivity, when if you just read it, they're just definitionally on women and children. There is more than one. let alone that when they say women, they might mean more than one woman. They might mean more than one. And when they say children, they might mean more than one child.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm pulling this up on stream for myself as well.
Yeah, I just read that bar for bar.
Okay. Based on first-hand accounts of released hostages, there are reasonable grounds to believe that female hostages were also subjected to other forms of sexual violence. So, hold on. Is the issue here that the mission team received clear and convincing information that sexual violence, including rape, sexualized torture, and cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment occurred against some women and children during their time in captivity, and has reasonable grounds to believe that this violence may be ongoing? Okay.
This is the same UN report that all of these fucking mouth breathers said that they read. So the same exact one.
Mm-hmm. So I would say the argument they make, which is a horrible argument, is based on the evidence, right? Like what evidence was provided? Oh, right, based on first.
I mean, and Ethan gets into it and just says, yeah, it's just a frat bro. Hassan's just like a pro-rape frat bro. It just is what it is. Women cannot testify firsthand. It can't be that. They need fucking photos, which, by the way, if you also read this, there is photo evidence that they're using to come to that specific conclusion. If you read up in the details of how they came to it, they actually do have photos. Now, whether or not it's photos of the explicit acts, it doesn't go into vivid detail, but it says they have photos to be able to come to those conclusions. So there is evidence around that, including like photos and stuff. But yeah, this is where Ethan makes fun of him for having that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Somebody said go to 86, where it says that the magnitude and scope couldn't be established and require a larger investigation.
Yep. This means literally nothing. This was obviously used by Hassan's brain dead fucking retard
something. It means literally something, but it doesn't mean what they're suggesting, right?
It doesn't mean anything. It means literally nothing. That, to be clear, it could be that every single Hamas soldier raped somebody, or it could be that only just a couple did, that they were able to verify. That's all that means. It's literally nothing. It's we don't know. That is all that means.
What changes in the follow-up reports? I would just want to know what changes in the follow-up reports.
The reason why I'm pointing to this, and the reason why Ethan and stuff did, isn't because this is objective proof of the underlying facts of the matter. The point is that people like Hassan will point to this article, and they explicitly will point towards like 86, and they will leave out the rest of the details. For instance, Noah Sampson notoriously did this in his video, where he went through this document and highlighted specifically 86, right?
Yes.
And that specific, and didn't highlight any of the other shit that, for instance, we spoke about or looked at.
I think the thing that actually upsets me about this is that people talk about the October 7th attacks, like the stuff that happened, right? And they'll say that there's not like any evidence of this, and there absolutely is.
Well, so
when JSTLK said, "Shut up,"
that's the
one
issue.
Day of it.
That's the issue where it becomes malicious, no? This is malicious. This is a malicious attempt to cover up rapes, is it not? These people have read the document.
100%.
Yes.
From Hassan, I don't.
But even like Hassan, he says he's read it.
I think Hassan has an insane bar because of his distrust for the Israeli state. I think Lonerbox cooked him completely when he's like, "Oh well, we don't have forensic evidence," and it's like, you're not going to get forensic evidence, this retard. Like they're dead people from an atrocity. Like, of course you wouldn't get forensic evidence from dead people of an atrocity.
How can we not say it's malicious when Ethan is literally showing him articles right in front of his face, when he says he's read articles that say, or the UN report that explicitly say.
I think it would be good to continue going through it, because I agree with you totally on the UN report that it says that there's multiple instances in captivity. So it is weird that he said there's only one instance in captivity. Now, I don't know when that clip is from.
It's not weird. It's not weird. Stop. It's not weird. We know why he's doing it. Stop. It's not weird. I feel like I'm having to literally smack your face into a fucking brick wall, man. It's not weird. It's not weird. It is very obvious what he's doing.
Okay. I'm just gonna go
No,
through
no,
like this
okay,
stuff
we've
as
been
we
going
go.
back.
And
We're going back.
I'm
and
just
forth
gonna.
over this
I'm not
shit.
getting like emotional here. I'm just gonna go through this like step by step.
Yeah, you're not
We'll go through the whole
you're
thing.
not getting emotional because I'm not the one who's being frustrating here. I'm having to smack your head into the wall 100 fucking times to get you to understand this dude is maliciously trying to cover up rapes that are happening so he can save face.
I think he's
so he can do
trying
all
to
this other shit.
downplay
He's
things. It's
maliciously
entirely
doing
possible.
This. There is no.
I'm
it's a
literally
fucking
I'm just gonna walk through
nine-dimensional
this. I'm telling you, I don't remember watching this part of the debate, so I'm gonna walk through this. I need to see this for myself. It's really nice that you could say, well, no, I know that he's being absolutely malicious here. I'm gonna actually just walk through this and we can go through it calmly, or we could freak the fuck out. Either one. But I was thinking calmly might be a good way to go about it.
No, I'm talking about.
I don't think we've
it's not
proven
even
out a systemic
necessarily
issue yet.
just this
I do not
portion.
think from a base level we've proven out a systemic issue, and I'm good with walking through it with you. But
We're not here to prove that it was a systemic rapes that happened. We're here to prove that when he says he's read stuff like this, that means he's lying. He's either lying that he read it, or he's lying about the conclusions of it.
I haven't seen him deny the conclusions of it. I haven't seen either of those things happen yet.
So you're saying you've never seen him say that he's read the UN article that Ethan specifically?
Yes, I'm saying I've never seen him say he's read the UN article, or if I have, I don't remember it. I have seen him say, what rapes did Hamas do? I have seen him downplay some of the things that I think we all assume did happen, right? I've seen those things, but I don't know that I've seen that he's read the UN report, him saying that, and then directly after seeing him read the UN report, or directly after seeing that clip, seeing him say, oh, I deny the violence, and then how he reacts to it in the debate. That's what I'm trying to get to, if we can walk to that.
I'm not sure if it's in this section or later, but go to the part where he starts showing him articles right in front of his face. I don't know if this is the part. I'm not talking about his hypocrisy.
I think we got the whole section. Okay.
I'm not going to sit here for a fucking hour and watch all that.
Investigations were narratives. And also, here is the Israeli prosecutor Moran Getz has acknowledged that 15 months after the events of October 7th, forensics evidence to actually conclude.
You know the fucking answer to that.
I do deny
Okay, good. Well, there you go.
There is.
Oh, what is he denying?
You deny mass rapes happened, and you're doing it right now.
Yeah, I've definitely seen this as well, Alibaba, which is my belief of like where you got this information from is this fucking stupid ass Z-Scroll tweet. And that's what he was basing a lot of his shit off of, and that's why he looked like a total retard when he said like, "Oh, what rapes did Hamas do?"
Actual violence and
I showed
captivity
two. I just showed you
we
two.
know of up until this point.
Just showed you two.
And I both agree on. You know that I agree with that. You know that I've talked about it. You know that I've acknowledged
you deny
it,
mass rapes happened, not that rapes happened.
What?
You deny that mass rapes happened, not that rapes happened. Listen to.
Okay, so Ethan's position is Hasan denied mass rapes, not rapes. Okay.
Yes, but then he goes.
I don't believe that's what's been represented to me in this.
He goes into individual
I don't believe
rape.
you've represented it to me that way.
Okay, that's fine. I frankly, not a big deal. If you keep watching all of this, he brings up the rapes that happen right in front of him, and he keeps refusing it. Keep playing.
We'll keep watching.
To my words.
I'm just saying that, like,
yes,
it's fine.
I do.
We talk about
I do deny
Okay, good. Well, there you go.
There is no evidence. And for the record,
I just showed you two.
The clips that you used, ironically enough, the reason why
I showed
say
you
it's
three.
out of context is because at that point, I
think maybe you
personally
skipped over some of the things, but I think he shows more.
Probably
I'm not
did.
sure if
So
it pops up on Hassan's
popping
screen.
up.
Well, no, I'm not sure if it pops up on Hassan's screen. I was told
this
that
is
the UN article.
This is the UN article
report, right? This is one everyone refers to.
I was told Hassan doesn't bring them all up on screen.
How these
I see.
papers work. They do a very precise conclusion at the end that summarizes the main thesis and points driven home in the article. That's what the conclusion is. Let me read it for you. Overall, based on the totality of information gathered from multiple and independent sources at different locations, there are reasonable grounds to believe that conflict-related sexual violence occurred at several locations across the Gaza periphery, including in the form of rape, gang rape, during.
Do we believe Hassan denies this right after having it read to him? Is this where he would deny these things happening?
I believe he obfuscates.
Okay.
The October 7th, 2023 attack. Credible, circumstantial information which may be indicative of some forms of sexual violence, including genital mutilation, sexualized torture, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment was also gathered.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm gonna walk you through this real quick.
Are they hallucinating?
No. So you just don't know what words mean. So credible circumstantial evidence. Do you know what that means?
It means that there's, yeah, of course.
Credible circumstantial evidence is not a substitute for forensic evidence. Credible circumstantial
That's why I said
evidence
Pixar
is
didn't
not
happen, bro.
enough to
You need rape
prosecute.
kits.
Credible
Hassan needs rape
circumstantial
kits.
evidence is not enough to
Pixar
Can we
didn't have
pause for 1 second?
This
Do we
is
agree
so-
on
what
this
Ethan
point he's
has to-
obfuscating? We agree he's
I think
obfuscating,
he's
right?
I think he's like totally retarded. And if you just read the conclusion and not the whole article, then that would explain everything. So if he said he's read this whole article somewhere, then he's lying. Because the credible forensic evidence is bodies that have their hands tied behind their back and their
No,
bottoms stripped off.
he's spoken about
There's
that
no
before.
way
He's
that you could-
specifically spoken about that before on stream. I don't wait, hold on. Can I make this statement? Because even
So he's
if
spoken
I
about
can't find you
reading
the
article or
specific
about what
clip
I'm
where
saying.
he's reading it himself, you understand for him to comment on these issues without reading the article that he's been bashed with over 100 times about the rapes on October 7th, that would have to be malicious in and of itself, right?
I might as well call it malicious. Yes, if he's going to deny that there's evidence, credible evidence of rapes on October 7th, then and he hasn't read the report at all. He doesn't know what the actual evidence is, because this is what Ethan should be cooking him on here. That I would agree that that's probably malicious. Like, I would think that's, I mean, it's malicious or
So
like,
if he hasn't
willfully-
read it, he's malicious, and if he has read it, he's malicious. Just to be clear.
If he had, yeah, sure. I mean, unless, so
Okay.
he's going to make this point here. Hold on. He's going to make this point here, and Ethan needs to bring up this evidence. So he's saying circumstantial evidence. Ethan needs to drive this home right now.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
I would expect him to be able
because
to
he's
drive this
being
home
a
right
frat bro rapist. He's literally being a frat bro rapist. Pixar, it didn't happen. Ethan is right.
I'm gonna ask you.
Ethan is literally right.
I'm gonna ask you.
Wait, how is that not Pixar? It didn't happen.
Did Israel lie or not about certain atrocities that happened on October 7th? In the immediate aftermath, did Israel lie
Yes.
and push the narrative?
Is Israel
Okay,
the UN?
So is there a reason that Hassan might
No,
actually-
is Israel the UN? Is Israel the UN?
Where did the UN get the reports from? Where did the UN get their firsthand witnesses from? Where did the UN get the evidence from? Who collected the evidence?
Do you believe that the UN literally just believed everything Israel said?
I believe they would have done their own interviews, but I think that there's a
They did
reason.
their own
So
interviews?
I think
They did their own
so here's-
investigation?
I'll just
It was
differentiate for
independent.
you really quickly. Just let me. I'm going to differentiate between my position and Hassan's position. Hassan might have a bar of forensic evidence because he hates Israel. He hates the state, right? He doesn't trust them. He's got a memory of all the times they've lied. He doesn't trust it, right? I trust the UN report, but I'm telling you that I understand why you would say something like forensic evidence. I don't necessarily know that that rises to malicious yet. I would like to see if he could be pushed on the evidence
this
at all.
comes from a
If
lack
he has
of
any
understanding
defense
of
of
the
it.
UN report. The UN doesn't just walk up to Israel and just go, "Hey, do you have like pictures and testimony and stuff?" They do a lot of that stuff operationally themselves. In the report itself, it states pretty plainly they didn't have all of the tools necessary to set up the full scope and magnitude necessary for like a full-blown operation. That is why 86 exists. That is why 86 exists, where it says, hey, we cannot establish the prevalence. It explicitly details the reason they can't establish the prevalence is because of a limited access to bodies
Yes.
and stuff like that. But
From
the
who?
scope
From who?
from the
Who
families,
limited their access?
from the families, the families. Bro, you're doing it with me. Have you read it? Have you read it?
Have I read the whole report?
Have you
No.
read it? Have you read it? Have you read the report?
No.
Okay, I have, and you're doing it. You're here doing it with me. You're talking about like, hey, who's limiting
I
all
asked
this
you a
shit?
question.
And I'm telling
I
you,
asked you a question,
I'm giving you
and it's fine.
Like you can
Am I
read it
telling you you're
yourself.
lying to me?
What?
Am I telling you you're lying to me?
No, the problem is you're saying like you're implying that Israel's limiting it. I'm telling you there is limitations on this for the prevalence of stuff, and it's not just Israel. It's not like the UN walks
don't
in and
think
just
it's
goes,
just
"Hey,
Israel.
Israel, we'll just accept all of this information from you." Explicitly in the UN, it says Israel was giving them in that report. It says Israel was giving them specific information that they couldn't verify, and it says Israel gave us this information we cannot verify. They don't just take them at their word.
I wouldn't think they just take them at their word.
Okay, but I'm telling you, Hassan knows they don't take them at their word. And so when you say, well, maybe Hassan thinks they're taking them at their word, he doesn't believe that. He
saying
knows
Hassan
that's not the case,
almost
and he's
certainly-
being malicious.
Hassan almost certainly does not trust the Israeli government for anything they provide here.
And this is the UN!
Okay. we're just going to go through this loop again. The UN would check other sources, right? But I believe if they had credible information from Israel, what they believe to be credible information, which Hassan wouldn't trust, they would publish that. So I'm saying, can we differentiate between these, right? Based on what's in the article. Can we differentiate what evidence for which areas, like, comes from Israel, comes from first-party testimony, comes from all of these things?
I just
That's what I'm
told you
asking
that. I just told you they explicitly say they were given
Through
some
multiple
information
pieces.
from Israeli sources, and then they were able to look at certain sources themselves with clear and convincing or reasonable suspicion. And these they have their
which one of those did they
specific
get
barometer.
like reasonable suspicion from?
Huh?
That's like independent of Israel. Which one of these did they have that's free from suspicion, so we can go read it?
The one that I gave you, the one that I specifically said, where children were in captivity, were sexually assaulted. They had videos picture evidence of. You can look up photos.
The absence of comprehensive forensic evidence limited the mission teams. Would it be something like this?
I'm not sure if this is a specific paragraph, but maybe.
The absence of comprehensive forensic evidence limited the mission team's ability to draw definitive forensic conclusions in many instances. This was compounded by evidence being spread among various agencies and limited organization of the material, and the fact that the process of linking individuals with specific photos and video is still ongoing. The inaccurate and unreliable forensic interpretations by some non-professionals also represented a challenge. Lastly, the mission took place over a limited period of 2.5 weeks and in a context for Israel where no dedicated UN country team or infrastructure is operational. Considering the scale and magnitude of the attacks, the range of the locations, and the high number of casualties, the mission team could not comprehensively cover the full range of the situation. It's the one I sent to you. It's specifically and explicitly about the systemized ordered rape on October 7th. Well, I'm saying Hassan would deny that. Yes, I understand Hassan would deny that. Is that what they're going over right now? Wait, hold on. I don't.
We're going over this. We're going over this.
My wand. I'm on a different account. Hold on. I don't even have you. If you're not in my Discord, discord.gg/JSTLK, you have to go put it in. My main account's banned. If you're sending me stuff on Discord, I do not get it. Okay. Based on other findings not linked to specific locations. So 71. Clear and convincing information. So this says based on first-hand accounts of the released hostages for this one.
Yep.
It doesn't say.
You're gonna say that they're like Israeli spies or something?
Photos and videos. I don't see photos and videos on this one.
Okay, you'd have to go to. You just passed like 9 different mentions of it. You can see there is photos.
Well, I did. Sorry, but this is the only one I can find with women and children. It's fine. I'll just take your word for it that is one of them where they have like independent photos and videos and shit and all this.
Wait, go back. I think it literally says it right there. The mission team also gathered and reviewed information based on photos and videos of October 7th attack that could not be linked to specific locations of the attack. The mission team was able to determine at least 100 bodies had destructive burn damages, preventing the findings of anything what may have occurred, including any assessment of sexual violence. But it states earlier prior to these conclusions that these were the same bodies that were referenced with like their fucking pants. I mean, you could go through it.
Do agree on that. I do agree probably that would have happened. Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, but they saw bodies. They firsthand saw bodies.
Yeah, I totally believe all of their investigations of the actual kibbutzes. Like, I believe that there were victims of sexual violence in those kibbutzes, 100%.
Okay, but isn't this whole argument as to whether or not all of this, or even the principal evidence needed to be able to come to these conclusions, stemmed from the Israeli government?
I would say, no. In Hassan's mind, he's going to say that they would have talked to the hostages, right? But he's going to want to believe that. So it's not a good. It doesn't matter if it's in Hassan's mind. What I'm saying is that this is very obviously like him. If he read this, he had to specifically ignore like their standards, their first-hand accounts, and stuff like this. This is not the only report.
Also,
right?
I believe Hassan has said that there is no like first-hand testimony of people who were raped. I believe he has said that because I know Denham has said that. I know Denham has said that. In this? I don't know. I don't know.
All right, let's keep it on this real quick.
Rape, which is precisely the reason why the Israeli prosecutors themselves have said that in the absence of a singular victim coming out and also with all of the forensic evidence that has been.
Wait, I totally agree on the Hasan like here where he's trying to say that there's no forensic evidence. There just wouldn't be forensic evidence, right?
Tarnished already.
Show me evidence for anything you're saying.
What?
Right. So isn't that the argument? The argument that is he has an impossible standard, and he's talking about there is nobody who comes forward. And to my knowledge, he has.
So I'm listening to all of the other things. I totally have always agreed with the impossible standard point. I've never once disagreed that that's like a retarded standard.
Okay. Well, then. What are you looking for?
I'm going to follow up on the statements you made about what Hasan was saying, where he openly denied rapes to Ethan's face. Like, having the different standard is not saying these rapes didn't happen.
Rapes to his face?
Having the different standard, it's saying it's inconclusive. It's not saying it didn't happen. I think that's fucking retarded. He's not going, oh, these rapes didn't happen. There was no sexual violence on October 7th.
When presented with evidence, when presented with like a source that he has trusted before multiple different times, including on Israel's actions against the Palestinians,
he's saying
their conclusion saying that sexual violence did happen.
No forensic evidence, right?
Him saying there's no forensic evidence, that's not denying the rapes.
He's saying he doesn't believe it without forensic evidence, which is insane. Yes, but I don't think it's denying them. No, I think he's saying that like we would need more evidence. I would want prosecutions to happen. I think he is.
And something that you agree is an impossible standard.
Denying is the wrong word, but I feel like probably the same thing you do. I'm just telling you. Just hold on a second. I'm just telling you, denying is the wrong word, but I probably feel the same thing you do. Which is like, I think this is like insane, and clearly he just doesn't want to admit.
No, the reason why I believe it's denying is because I know he knows what he's doing.
Downplaying is a good way to put it.
Way. Nah, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. It just can't be.
So I'm again.
So he only does this. So he only does this for this specific conflict.
Part. No. This part, I totally agree with you. He is downplaying here, right? But we went beyond that, and it's like, well, he also just denies any rapes happened. There are multiple claims here. I was just investigating your actual claims. I should have written them down, and now I didn't. But I've totally always agreed when I read this, or when I watched this in the first place, I totally agree that if you're asking for forensic evidence, if you need rape kits, you're fucking insane.
No, it's not just that he's fucking insane. When presented with these situations where rapes did happen, he's denying. He's saying like, yeah, no, I mean, there is no forensic evidence. No, whatever. When these same standards he uses in other circumstances, that is denial to me. Is that not denial to you? When the same standards he uses to be able to corroborate other instances of sexual violence, he just conveniently doesn't do it for this one? He just happens to not be doing it for this one. It's just convenient.
No, I think this one involves the Israeli state. I think that's where his anger comes from, right? That's where his distrust comes from.
Where are you getting that?
Where am I getting from? From obviously in here, there would be testimony or evidence from Israel. Israel would have had. Would they have gotten these photos themselves? Would they have gone to all these places and taken the photos themselves? I believe they say they didn't do that. I'm assuming they got photos from Israel, right?
There were some photos. There were some photos from Israel, and there were some photos from floating around online. But they also literally visited some of these places, had the first-hand accounts, interviews, and they saw dead bodies.
So the mission team, specifically the forensic pathologist and the digital analyst, reviewed over 5,000 photos and 50 hours and several audio files of footage from the attacks, provided partly by various state agencies and through an independent online review of various open sources to identify potential instances and indications of conflict-related sexual violence. Okay, so that is, yes. They've gotten them from Israel or the internet?
Not just the internet, but yeah.
Israel or the internet?
Well, it says through...
sure. Open sources to me just means like the internet, but sure. Online review of various open sources as the internet.
Okay, so we'll say the internet. I'm not sure what they specifically mean by open sources, because it could be that they're talking about like open sources that exist maybe exclusively inside of Israel.
Sure. So I'm just saying that there'd be reasons if you distrusted Israel from a fundamental, like a foundational place, there'd be reasons you'd argue I need more evidence than just testimony or just like photos or something.
They have first-hand accounts. They talk about first-hand accounts.
They do have first-hand accounts. I'm just explaining to you why Hasan. I'm explaining to you why Hasan might have this.
Wait, no, but that's not from Israel.
Okay. All right. Through the material provided by national agencies, though the material provided by national agencies appeared to be authentic and unmanipulated, it could not always be independently verified by the mission team. Efforts were made to verify the most important pieces of digital evidence gathered by the mission team. For the purpose of this report, only items found to be reliable and related to the October 7th attacks were considered. Okay, so basically, they went through these and they apparently must have discarded some evidence provided by the Israeli state when they couldn't verify through other sources that it was like reliable. So I'd say that works in the favor of like, okay, it's unlikely that this stuff was doctored. They're basically saying that like, hey, we had stuff that seemed like it might have been, could have been, and we didn't include that in this report. I think that's kind of an important point, no? For your side?
No, I mean, I'm telling you, I've read this. I don't know why, like, I understand for your reasons you're like have gone over it. I've read this. I know what it says.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
And my point is that he can't have read this and come away with the opinion that he did while trusting the UN reports because of things like the firsthand accounts. He can't have read it. And if he didn't read it, then he's malicious for having commented on it in the manner that he has while in speaking on this issue. Because this was a really important piece of documentation that he was presented with dozens of times. It seems when it comes to
I would say
people
from
in
his
chat
position, I would understand why he could read this and potentially like downplay specific parts of it, right? That's why, in my opinion, you just like listen to what he says. You listen to Ethan bring up like the specific evidence, and you could just cook him on that, right?
What would you need to hear from Hassan to see that he's denying rapes?
To say that he's denying rapes, if he didn't know the evidence, like if I heard him say like, oh well, no, I don't trust that, like, yeah, those photos of those bodies with their like bottoms removed and stuff, that's not evidence of anything. I would want to hear exactly what he's talking about.
Acknowledge that the evidence that is convincing exists, or for him to just say, deny.
Or for him to say that like this didn't happen. I think this is totally fabricated.
How is that substantially different than him casting aspersions on credible?
Because I think casting aspersions and denying are different.
In the manner that he is, I would say it isn't. No.
Okay. I mean, this seems like just basically
because he's
like
trusting the same sources, man. He literally I believe he uses a UN report to talk about Israel's sexual violence against Palestinians.
Okay. Oh, sure. I would wonder what the evidence of that is, by the way. Yeah.
It's show me evidence for anything you're claiming that isn't some unhinged freak on Twitter. Believe all women, hey? Hey, are we believing all women unless they're Israeli? Right after October 7th Hamas attack in Israel, Zaka, the disaster victim identification volunteers, were among the first civilians responding on the scene. Zaka is an Israeli rescue and recovery organization, primarily staffed.
Okay, apparently people are saying with this report, Hassan is denying like mass rapes. I don't think that's the case. I think he specifically keys in on the word like circumstantial evidence. It says, oh, well, circumstantial means non-forensic evidence. I think he goes circumstantial evidence. Well, that's non-forensic evidence.
Staffed by ultra-Orthodox Jewish volunteers, known for their work in collecting human remains for proper burial according to Jewish law. I think what happened is, a lot of what happened is that obviously you don't rape someone and then keep them alive, right? So if someone were murdered, and a lot of the forensic evidence.
The PBS article about how 2 debunked accounts of sexual violence on October 7th fueled the global dispute over Israel-Hamas war. This is from May 22nd, 2022. This is about the witness testimony that was discredited. Okay,
but so even if one account was discredited, there's many.
No, it's not one account; it's 2 accounts. But the rest of
there's way more than 2 accounts.
Can you?
You know what you're doing? You're like, this girl lied about being raped, therefore all these women need to be questioned. That's actually what you're doing. You're saying Pixar didn't happen. I don't believe women if they're Israeli.
Can you point me to actual, like, to victims that came out?
Yes.
Because as far as I understand, Israeli police have asked victims and witnesses to testify about Hamas and sexual violence in the aftermath of October 7, and it seems like their investigations were inconclusive because by the admission of the Israeli prosecution...
Mehdi Hassan tweet. Hold on, let me check out this Mehdi Hassan tweet. We like Mehdi Hassan. What's the vibe check on Mehdi Hassan, Relly? We a fan of Mehdi Hassan?
I think he's kind of annoying, but yeah.
He lies since October.
Not gonna be good. Debunked Israel's top 10 lies on Gaza. I don't trust this guy.
October the 7th, about Gaza, about aid, that it's hard to remember them all, let alone keep up. Here, in less than 3 minutes, are Israel's top 10 lies about this genocide.
Why are we watching this?
Start the clock. Line
somebody
number one, the
linked
Israelis
it
said again and
and
again,
he
including
talks about
Netanyahu
this.
himself to the net, was that Hamas was stealing the aid going into Gaza. But turns out, according to the Israeli military, they released all the gender-based violence October the 7th. Now, no one's in Gaza from Israeli
See what
bombs.
he says
Line
about
number
this.
four,
I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing. No evidence of mass or systematized or coordinated rapes. No evidence of, but there is evidence of sexual violence happening, both in captivity and at the individual kibbutzes. And maybe he might get into the lack of forensic evidence, or maybe the Israeli organization that handled the bodies off the bat. Maybe.
Well, there was systematic mass rape by Hamas on October the 7th. Now, no one's saying there wasn't any sexual or gender-based violence on October the 7th, but mass rape as a weapon of war, well, the Times of London, a pro-Israel, Murdoch-owned right-wing newspaper, did a deep dive last year. Quote, Israel says Hamas has weaponized rape, but investigators say the evidence does not stand up to scrutiny. The UN Commission of Inquiry said last year that it had not been able to independently verify allegations of rape because of obstruction by the Israeli authorities, and the main Israeli prosecutor on the case has said, in the end, we don't have any complainants. Line number 5, there is a Hamas command and control center.
So that's essentially, I would say, his position and Hassan's position are 1-to-1, right?
Nope.
Where they
Wouldn't
differ?
say so. Because Hassan references one rape in captivity and then refuses to recognize the rapes that happened inside of that UN report, which he.
But he says rapes did happen, right? He
Huh?
says rapes did happen. He says rapes
He
did
says
happen.
one. He said one, explicitly one.
In captivity.
He's just
So he
trying
might
to-
be
he
getting the
says
in captivity wrong, but he
explicitly the
admits that
number one.
rapes happened on October 7th. That there was rape and sexual violence on October 7th.
What?
As far as I know, Hassan says that there's been rapes did happen on October 7th. Like on that day.
I don't know if I've seen a clip of him actually saying that. But either way, I'm talking about the one in captivity, which, according to the report, that's not the case. There's clear and convincing evidence that there was at least two, bare minimum two.
But he also brings up the article in the debate, right, of the debunked ones from in captivity.
Those are not the debunked ones.
Okay, well, but that came out after this report, right? This report comes out
The
on
debunked
March
stuff?
2024, and I believe the other one comes out in March 2024. We look at this was...
Yeah, they're not talking about the same ones.
This is, May 22nd, 2024. And then, so I would assume that if there's a... Wait, you know that the debunked ones are taken out?
I know that the debunked ones are not the ones being referenced in that UN report.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Hey, Hassan, you know what you're doing? You're like, this girl lied about being raped, therefore all these women need to be questioned. That's actually what you're doing. You're saying Pixar didn't happen. I don't believe women if they're Israeli.
Can you point me to actual, to victims that came out?
Yes,
Because
yes,
as far as
yes.
I understand, Israeli police have asked victims and witnesses to testify about Hamas and sexual violence in the aftermath of October 7, and it seems like their investigations were inconclusive because...
So that's exactly what, as far as I could tell, Mehdi Hassan said, right? That there are no prosecutions. Nobody is coming out to try to press charges in any way. It's just which again, not dispositive. Absolutely, I can see somebody having that happen. They go, well, what? Smoking pile of rubble? How are we going to find the guy? I'm not going to go complain about this. Absolutely.
Because by the admission of the Israeli prosecution,
Show me evidence of
they
anything you're
openly
saying.
said that there were no victims that came out.
Yeah, let me guess. You read it on Haaretz.
You don't... Wait. Do you think that Haaretz is not a credible institution of journalism at this point?
No, but you guys lean on that. You just lie.
That's a pretty bad point right there. Why is Gen Chat locked? So people can come talk in the chat here.
So
Obviously.
in the UN report itself, it talks about how the lack of people, there's two main components for the lack of people coming forward with firsthand accounts. One is there's a big culture diff in Israel where there's a lot of women who just straight up do not want to say that they were raped by Hamas militants. And two, a lot of them are dead.
Yeah. I think there's no reason to go after most prosecutions, right?
Okay, so
I would say at this point is not
this
dispositive
in
of
mind,
anything.
and with
I was
this
just pointing
very
out that
unique
Mehdi Hassan
standard-
and Hassan probably have about the same standard for making these claims that Israel's lying about rapes.
I don't know. I don't really care about that other guy. With that in mind, and with this idea in mind that this standard would not be ubiquitous, right? That he has not had this standard for other instances. This is where I get my opinion on how he views the rapes.
Okay. 1 second. Kingler is saying, apparently we get... What is it here? Apparently we get... Ethan says, you deny them happening on October 7th, and Hassan says, yes, I do, because there's no evidence. That would be a retarded thing to say. That would be denying the reality of what you've seen here, but let's see. Okay. I'm going to try to pull up the transcript here. Give me a second. There is no evidence. Oh,
you
this
know
is
that
gonna
I've
be
talked
mass
about it. You know that I've
rapes.
So you
acknowledged
deny
it.
mass
And
rapes
yet-
happened, not that rapes happened.
What?
You deny that mass rapes happened, not
Yes.
that rapes happened. Listen to my
So
word.
Kingler just totally misstated this again. Complete fucking retard. We already watched this. God damn it. Sorry,
One sec,
I
I'm gonna
trusted a
watch
chatter to give
it,
me a
but-
timestamp here.
I'm gonna
Can you
watch a
send me
clip
it?
of my own.
Can you send me it and I can
gonna
just play it on the stream? Could you just send me it? We can play it on the stream together.
I'll just take a look at it. I want to just look at it real quick. I don't want to do the whole thing. It'll take a second.
Okay. Keep watching.
Words.
Yes, I do. I do deny
Okay,
it.
good. Well, there you
Because
go.
There is no evidence. And for the
I
record,
just showed you two.
The clips that you used, ironically enough, the
Actually,
reason
I
why
showed
say
you
it's out of
three.
context is because at that point, I personally took a position where I said very carefully and very deliberately that
I cut it. What did I cut off? Wait, what did I cut off? What did I cut off here? Yeah.
that
So I don't know. Just to be clear, my position here is 100%. Hassan's standard is insane. Probably comes from his distrust of Israel. I would want to know like what evidence there was for some of the things. Like I would say you probably have to go through and read the whole report to get a good idea of like what evidence came from what place. Mass shootings are 2 to 3 plus, right? Dude, the whole argument over mass, the whole argument you get into with mass is like basically just to play like denial games, in my opinion. That's been my opinion from the beginning. When you talk about like mass systematized, you like use that. It's just easy to say there was sexual violence, right? There's lots of sexual violence. It's sort of like it's the exact same word game people get into with genocide. Where they're like, well, what's genocide then? And it's like just stupid. It's like, no, just say that like there's insane, wanton destruction and violence on Israel's part in the Gaza Strip. You don't have to use the word genocide because then you just get into a fucking stupid argument over the label genocide. What's up? You got a clip?
No, I think the clip is bad, but I don't think it's going to show what you want. So I'll just move on.
What was the clip? Could I just know?
There's a clip of him saying that some shit didn't happen, rape didn't happen, and then brings up a squirrel post, trying to say it didn't happen.
Well, I think he absolutely believed that squirrel post off the bat. That like totally disingenuously edited squirrel post.
Okay, so then
Right.
maybe we can stop all of this. What I consider to be rape denial is having a separate standard for rape that is impossible to hit, that is clearly, in this instance at least, but in other instances, motivated by something, right? I consider this to be a form of rape denial, motivated by something where you deny the facts or the evidence as being conclusive for the purposes of X and Y and Z gain. In this instance, he is denying the rapes happened by saying that the evidence is inconclusive to the point of needing an amount of evidence that's impossible to hit. He knows it's impossible to hit. And so he denies the rapes that are happening off of that basis. I believe that is rape denial. Is setting an impossible standard when presented with rapes, in this instance, at least for explicitly political motivations. So, for instance, if somebody comes up to me and says, you raped somebody, and then I were to go, well, do you have like a video recording of it happening? And then they go like, no, I mean, that's like a weird thing to do. And I just go, well, then, you know, I don't know. I don't know, whatever. And then you just move on to the next topic and you obfuscate and say, well, then that's not enough to do it. I consider that rape denial. Do you?
I'd probably say I don't really care about calling it rape denial. Like I think we basically consider it the same thing. So rape denial, let's just call it rape denial, okay? Let's say it's rape denial when he says, "Oh, I want this standard instead." Okay? Let's call it rape denial. Where do you think that comes from? Where do you think that idea of rape denial comes from?
I think it comes from him not wanting to look bad for his support of Hamas.
I disagree. I think there's a concerted effort from Hassan and people around him, people on that side of the aisle. I think there's a concerted effort to try to not play into the atrocity porn thing, right? Where Israel lied about a whole bunch of things that happened on October 7th to manufacture consent to go and do their ground operation in Gaza, right? I think they've like stayed in that same like mindset basically this whole time. Do you think that's a part of it? Significant part of it? Not a significant part of it?
Like, I'm waiting, I guess, what off of that?
I would just say it's motivated from a place of like, there's a reason to distrust like negative news about the Palestinians, and there's a reason people can't like actually evaluate the news very well here. And I think there's a reason why Hassan would expect a different standard in this case. But I will totally like concede that I think that equates to rape denial in this case. I don't have that same level of distrust of the Israeli state. I don't have that same level of distrust of like
No,
something
the
that
problem
paints
is
the Palestinians
it's not
poorly.
trust in the
So
no. It's not trust in the Israeli state. It's trust in independent actors.
So he already said in
I'm
here
not
that he
linking
believes
it
the
to an
Israeli
IDF
state
statement
coached people
about-
on their interviews. He's already said
Huh?
in here that he believes the Israeli state coached people on their interviews.
Yeah, so that's the point of setting up an impossible standard.
Yes. But where is that impossible standard
I
coming
believe
from?
it is rape denial when, in order to extract some
I have
kind
already
of meaning
conceded that it's rape
or-
denial.
Okay, then why the fuck are we here? Hassan
I'm asking
is
you where
performing
it
rape
comes
denial.
from. And you said it comes from like a selfish place where he doesn't want to look wrong. And I'm
What?
saying it comes from a motivated reasoning behind like, hey, whenever I get these bad pieces of news about the Palestinians,
Wait,
it seems
Do
to be
you recognize that
it's, like,
earlier you
tweaked
said
here.
Hassan, there's no evidence for Hassan denying rapes?
I said there's no evidence. So I've already said, I think, so I'm conceding here and saying that if you want to call that rape denial, I'm fine with calling that rape denial. I would call that like,
I'm fine. Is that
I call it
rape
casting aspersions. I would have called that casting aspersions before.
Okay, so
For
wait,
the sake of this
rape
argument, I'm
denial
just going to
is
say
only
rape
what?
denial.
What is rape denial to you?
Saying, no, that didn't happen.
Okay, so he has to actively say, no, that didn't happen when,
Instead of saying it's inconclusive.
instead of saying it's inconclusive. So it's impossible to deny rapes if you just go like, well, I don't know, even if there's like 9K footage right in front of you in VR.
There's not 9K for. He sees like a UN report that says. It's
I'm
from, like, built off
asking
of
you that
first-hand
question.
testimony, right?
I'm asking you that question. We can establish out of that. Rape denial only occurs if you say, hey, no, none of it happened. Not if
I
you
think
like
that's, to me,
obfuscate, not
that's
if you
rape
move
denial.
aside,
I would
you
say,
just don't
I
do
would
any
say
of that.
there's like a whole bunch of other ways you could say this. He's casting doubt. He is needlessly casting doubt on these things, right? You could just say, oh, I need to see more evidence or something, right? Now, would there be more evidence? And like on the balance, should he think this? Should he think it happened? I think so. But I understand with his worldview, how he sees the Israeli government, how he sees what's been perpetrated on the Palestinian people. I understand exactly how he sees this. And I don't think that makes him like evil or rape denier or a participant in rape culture. I think he has a different
disagree.
standard for
When he
information
looks
that works
at-
against
yeah.
the Palestinians
So-
and in favor of the
so-
Israeli state.
So I think you can be retarded, and just because you're retarded doesn't mean you don't deny rape. When I am referring to him being a rape denier,
I think we've already agreed that it's not totally retarded. I think we both agreed that the Israeli state fabricated claims right after October 7th to manufacture consent for their ground
we're not
invasion into
trusting
Israel.
Israel. We're not trusting Israel. That's
You
not
are
what's
in part
happening.
trusting Israel. Israel would have
we're
debriefed
not.
all of these people. Israel could have talked to all of these people, right? There is a level
Why
of
do you
trust for
say
Israel
could
here.
have? Why do you say could have? Do you have any evidence that their conclusions were not their own?
Do we have to go to the Haaretz article? What's the Haaretz article about?
What? Why are you bringing up a Haaretz article?
That they're
I'm talking about the
about
UN
here.
report. I'm talking about the UN report.
I understand you're talking about the UN report. I haven't seen the Haaretz article, but do you understand how knowing about the Haaretz article and
why
knowing about
would
the
we
UN
talk
report,
about the
you might
Haaretz article? I'm
conflate
not
these
talking
things
about the
and say,
Haaretz
I don't
article.
trust parts of this, right?
What?
So, you don't understand what I'm saying at all?
No. What are you saying?
I'm saying that. Oh, never mind. I'm never gonna get this through. It doesn't matter. It's fine. It's fine. I've already said that I think what he's doing is tantamount to rape denial in this case.
Okay. So just put very simply for me, what I consider to be rape denial is when you're presented with clear and convincing evidence that you have used before for to be able to convincingly say that rape occurred, which, to be clear, he has used evidence 1/1,000,000th as convincing as this to say that a rape happened or sexual
example
assault
where he's
happened.
used way less convincing evidence to say a rape happened.
During the fucking Twitch fucking sexual assault escapades, or what is it that came down where there's dozens of shit, he kept talking about like the sexual misconduct that occurred, like with the one guy, what is his fucking name? The guy from OTK. People know what his name is. He used to date that porn star.
Oh, he still dates her as far as I know. Rich?
Yeah, Rich Campbell. That guy. He talks about Rich Campbell. There's 1/1,000,000th the evidence for Rich Campbell as there is for multiple different sexual assault victims in Gaza. And yet
wait,
he has.
do you know that? Is it
Where's
not
the
first-hand
forensic
testimony
evidence for
versus
that?
first-hand
Where's the
testimony?
forensics evidence that happened during all of that? There's none.
Philly, no, not right now. Sorry.
There's tons of examples of, but even still, we could go through a various list of several different moments where in which he talked about sexual
I don't know if
misconduct.
he believes the Sabra and Shatila stuff. I don't know what there is foul pow there. I agree that Sabra and Shatila is a better example of this for believing that standard, but I haven't seen Hassan speak on Sabra and Shatila. I understand Sabra and Shatila. By the way, I wish other people who were pro-Israeli, okay, I wish they'd care about the other shit from Sabra and Shatila. Like, hey, maybe the guy who oversaw and orchestrated that whole event becoming your prime minister might be a bit of a concern, but the character of the country? I don't know. Just throwing it out there. We're gonna parade out these Sabra and Shatila rape victims, but also honor based Ariel Sharon every year. Okay.
Also, literally, I would argue that there's more evidence that more than one rape happened on October 7th than there is Donald Trump being a rapist. I would literally argue that.
Yeah, sure.
And I think I'd win that pretty convincingly.
I agree with you.
Okay, so we have established that he has a separate standard of evidence for rapes that are happening in one instance versus another, right? And with that being the case, with that happening, I would say that is rape denial when you set up two separate standards where you have one that is impossible to reach. We've all agreed that it's impossible.
You're just describing like a totally relativistic
your
standard.
Own personal
Do you think
gain.
most liberals actually think Donald Trump physically like held somebody down and penetrated them? Do you think most people believe that? Or do you think people hate Trump so they'll call him a rapist on basically no evidence? You're just describing the exact standard Hassan's using. This totally relativistic standard where he hates these people so he doesn't believe them.
I believe most people believe that Donald Trump is a rapist because he was held civilly liable for rape.
Do you think they even know what it means to be held civilly liable for rape in this case?
No, but I don't think you have to know what it means to be held civilly liable for rape to believe that somebody is a rapist.
Sure. But I'm saying we're talking about the standards of evidence. I'm saying he hates Donald Trump, so he has no standard of evidence. It's the same thing with Destiny, right? I don't believe he's looked through any of the Destiny stuff. He'll still call him Destiny every name that he can, right? He's got like a totally subjective standard. But I guess if you just want to show that he has a double standard, sure. But then I guess for Hassan, if you want to take his most permissive standard and say that's his standard normally, then he probably does a lot of rape denial.
Is when it is politically expedient to you or personally expedient to you, you set up an impossible standard for rape to be hit, and then you attempt to obfuscate and move on. You attempt to minimize or cover up, and that's what
I think
happened.
He has absolutely done those exact things here.
Okay,
I do not deny any of the things you said there.
Rape denial or not? I guess I don't really care.
Do you need me to call it rape denial? You can't just say I agree with you on all of those
I think that's pretty obvious, like rape denial, but yeah.
Okay. But as long as I'm not giving you the like moral satisfaction of saying rape denial, which I already did, by the way, and tried to move on.
No,
but
the whole point of
I can just agree with you on all of the individual points, right?
Denial,
but I already agreed with you on all of the individual points.
The whole point of us being here is because you refuse to call that rape denial. I don't think Hassan ever was presented with 9K evidence and then said, no, that is not a rape. That right in front of my eyes is not a rape. He just says things like there's one instance of rape that happened in captivity when he knows that's not the case. He's read the stuff that shows that it's not the case, but he has an impossible standard that he set up to. That's the problem. And I feel like I'm pulling teeth. Oh my God. Oh, fuck.
I'm totally fine. I could totally just agree with you on all of the points though, that he's objectively setting up a double standard. He's objectively like obfuscating. He set a standard that he wouldn't set for other atrocities, especially atrocities against the Palestinians. I agree on all of those things, but I agreed on those things from the very beginning. So
okay, then from your perspective, why did we get it?
Because you wanted me to call that rape denial, and I think it's driven by other things, right? I think it's driven by other things.
You understand rape denial can be driven by many different things, right?
I eventually just said we can call it rape denial, but to me, that would be like, no, this didn't happen, not no, this is inconclusive. I wouldn't say that not wanting to admit it, because you have like an emotional investment in one side, is not the same as rape denial. It's saying it's inconclusive now. It's not saying it didn't happen. Okay, it's saying we don't have enough evidence to say it happened.
You literally yourself raped somebody and then said, I don't know, there's inconclusive evidence. Would that be rape denial?
Yes.
Why?
Because I have conclusive evidence. I literally have my first part, my personal experience, right?
You have. So like
it's not that you I would believe that I raped. I would believe that I raped. I don't know if Hassan believes that this happened. That's what I'm telling you. That he might have read this and still not believe that it happened because of his distrust of the Israeli government. That's foundational to my entire argument this whole time.
Yeah, and even if I were to,
I just want to point out again that I agreed with you on all the individual things he's doing. You just don't like that I won't call that rape denial.
I just realized how late it is, and I have roommates. So,
we actually went on a totally different topic and didn't talk about the clip.
I mean, we talked about the clip for like an hour.
We didn't go through the whole clip. We still have not gone through the whole clip.
Yeah, I understand we didn't go through the whole clip, but I mean, we can probably just agree to disagree on the clip.
We don't have to agree to disagree. I still believe you are totally disingenuous if you actually believe that this doesn't apply later on. That, hey, targets in the West Bank and targets in Gaza are the people who could be targeted here. It's not other people.
No, I don't. So you could say no, I don't believe that. I don't believe you believe that. You don't think there's any reasonable person that could.
No.
Even not okay, so that's first of all, that's weird. But even not a reasonable person, an unreasonable person could look at that clip and then take away that he is talking about Eli Klein being like morally acceptable to attack.
It's in a context, and you're trying to remove the context, and you have to clip it.
No, I'm asking you, could even an unreasonable person do that?
Just like a dumb person, an unreasonable person could do anything.
Like
That's
a dumb
like a pointless
person.
point. Yeah, like an unreasonable or dumb person, like a
Because
person
when
who,
we're talking, when we're
like literally,
when we're
if I talk
talking
about if I talk about joking about somebody killing themselves and then somebody kills themselves, right? And I'm like doing a clear joke that everyone in my chat understands as a joke, or sorry, that people in my chat like are offended by or something, right? Let's say they're offended by it. They don't agree with me on it. And somebody does kill themselves.
Yeah, so no.
I can't be held responsible for what
Hassan's audience is stupid. They're retarded, and they're primed to shit on these people and dehumanize them. And then he gave them prime bait to further dehumanize Eli Klein. My bad. He gave them prime bait to do that, and yeah. So yeah, no, I don't think it's a stupid standard. When you set up a stupid audience that is primed to take retarded arguments and dehumanize people, you need to realize you're speaking to that audience. I'm not going to go in front of a bunch of fucking grapers who have, room temperature IQ and speak the same way I do to you. It's not going to happen.
Okay. I seriously just do not understand from a personal perspective how you can take like the clear progression he goes through, the statements he makes, how he's building this up, and you just like throw that out. And you say like, oh, because of his audience, he actually.
I feel like you have to be a bit detached to say that, like a bit detached, because it is very obvious how somebody could listen to that and then come to the conclusion, yeah, you know what, I actually think that this is it looks like he's pushing for violence to be brought against, or he thinks violence is okay.
Are you sure we don't have time to finish the clip?
Yes, I am very confident. I did not realize it's past midnight. I don't know how this happened.
Do you mind if we chat again tomorrow? We just like finish this clip. We just walk through the clip only. If you're around,
maybe, probably. I'll probably be. I mean, I'll definitely be like streaming and stuff. So yeah, if you're streaming, I'll probably have time.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for coming on. Super appreciate it.
Good luck.
Enjoyed the convo.
Much love, buddy.
Bye.
Okay, bye.